What's up, my people? It is your boy Antonio Ocasio. Welcome to RAICES Roots.
And I am Doug Gomez, and today's guest is someone who I could speak for the both of us that we respect a lot in this game.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He's inspired a lot of people. He's inspired me, definitely. His catalog alone of music, his remixes. What can I say? Some of the hottest remixes in house music. We talk like Father, Feeling Fine, just to name a few. He's been in this game for quite some time, but he's still doing it. And we are talking to Frankie Feliciano. Please welcome and make some noise for the man himself. Woo,
Yo,
woo, woo.
yo, chill. The dog is gonna
Frankie.
start barking over here.
Yo, Antonio's like, Antonio, you need to work on your hype man skills. Back me up.
So usually where we start off, Frankie, is RAICES Roots. Start from the beginning. I read it. I read your bio and I see it runs in the family, music. So you can tell us a little bit about how you got into music, how you led into what led you into house music. It's all yours.
All right, I'm gonna do my best to, because we got what 50 years in the game right now, right?
I
Or
know.
in life on Earth. But um, I think for me, so yeah, my grandfather on my mother's side was a musician in Puerto Rico in Aguadilla. And he had the town on lockdown. Him and his crew. He used to play the cuatro. Um, and my dad was always a big musician and into music also, so I always heard that around the house as well. All Latin music, obviously. But while we were living as a kid growing up, we lived in Bushwick and Bed-Stuy and Brownsville. The music that I wound up hearing in the environment was definitely a different mixture than what I was listening to at home. You know, so I think probably around 76 or something, 75, I started noticing that music had a little bit of a different, bump. Um, and I gravitated towards that. I started listening to a little bit more of what we were listening to on Kiss F. Well, what was it called before? 99X. Remember that 99X? And and KTU and BLS and all those other stations. Um, and also in Bushwick, it just so happens that there was a crew from the neighborhood. This was like 79, 80. And they used to do block parties and doing parties at the schoolyards. Hip hop, well,
I was big in the Bronx, block parties.
yeah. And that what you're just saying right there, right, is foreign to me because all we knew, I never got on the subway or drove to the Bronx. So I thought that whatever was going on in the world was here in Brooklyn, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So to hear sometimes other people talk and share similar experiences is actually really cool.
Yeah.
But that watching those guys DJing and playing what they were playing and hearing the crowd reaction is what attracted me to this, what we do right now, man. Because I was like, I don't dance, I'm not good looking. I mean, this is what I can do, to get a little bit of props,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and then I wound up for the early part of my teens when I really first got the turntables and started buying records. I was buying more early hip hop records. And one of my older cousins was a big garage Larry Levan dude. So I would go to his crib, and he had his collection. And so I would tell him about this track. He'd be like, "That's trash, bro. Let me show you what this is sounding like." And he'd play like the Irons, right? Land of Hunger.
Yeah,
Which to
yeah,
me, I
yeah.
was like, wow, that's something like that just blew my
Blow
mind.
you away, I know, man.
Yeah. So that uh, eased me into, club music because it wasn't called house music then, right?
Mm.
Um, and eventually, I kept with it, man. I mean, I think when I think the first official release that I ever put out that came out commercially available was on Nervous, and I think that came out in November of 92.
Wait, hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but we're jumping way ahead. Let's go back to your youth before we jump into the music.
Wow.
So what?
How far back you want to
Before
go?
you get into the production,
Yeah.
what was your first DJ gig? Not the first
Uh,
paying, just your first gig that you said, okay, this is my first playing. Taking out your own records, and you're gonna go play out.
so this same, well, I'll use this as an answer. The same cousin that I referenced earlier did a Halloween party in Bushwick it was like a center. I can't remember exactly what it was. It may have been like a senior citizen thing. I can't remember that, but it was like a teen Halloween party. And for like weeks, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna put you on. Everybody's gonna be like, yo, you're like 13 years old and you're gonna be DJing." And bro, I was gassed up, kid. I was ready to play the only two records I knew how to mix, which is Planet Rock and Play at Your Own Risk, Planet Patrol. You know, because it was
Yeah,
heat.
that's how exactly how I grew up. I grew up with the hip hop side. I grew up playing hip hop and playing hip hop, and then freestyle. Before,
Bro, I
yeah,
was a big freestyle dude too.
yeah.
That
Before
was
I got
huge.
introduced to the whole disco thing, it was mostly hip hop for me and freestyle. And then I started hearing about the disco stuff. I was like in the early, like way before freestyle. I was listening to disco, but it was still mostly hip hop for me because that's where we live. Hip hop was blowing up in New York. It's huge.
And where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Queens.
What part?
Man, I lived in Corona, Woodside,
Corona
Jackson
was,
Heights.
and hip hop was already bubbling in '83 over there, '82.
Yeah, they're all New York, bro. You know how it is.
But see what I mean is like I'm in Brooklyn, I'm in my own little bubble, and I don't know what's going on
And
anywhere.
you grew up in like the Bed-Stuy, Bushwick, Brown. You grew up in the 70s and 80s, and those, I remember in high school, and those were the toughest neighborhoods. When people would say, which is the toughest neighborhoods? It was Brownsville, Bushwick, Bed-Stuy. What's the other one that starts with an R? Um,
In Brooklyn, Red Hook.
Red Hook.
Yeah,
All those were like the number one, like the top when you
yeah,
hear about the toughest neighborhoods, man.
yeah.
Yo,
And
Frankie,
now,
let me just say
oh, I'm
real
sorry.
quick.
Yeah.
No, real quick. Because we're talking about hip hop. Where I grew up is the same neighborhood where Flash grew up. So I seen Flash in the beginning when
Wow.
he started,
That's
and he used to do little. He used to play in the back of his house.
was
Um,
that was that something that inspired you at all, or that wasn't the first DJ you saw, right? Playing.
nah. One of the first DJs I saw in my neighborhood was this guy named Rookie. We call him DJ Rookie. His name was Raul, and he was one of the first dudes that I knew that played music in the park. Like he would go out every other day, and he had the same mixes every single party. And we all knew the next record I was gonna come on, but you know it was we appreciated it. It was summertime, and he was out there religiously, man.
But check it out though. In those days though, right? None of us were criticizing that stuff, even though you knew what was
Ah,
gonna. You were actually waiting for it because you knew
yeah,
what was coming,
yo,
and
and
you
when he was
and you were
teaching
telling your
me,
boys, "Yo, this is coming in. This is coming in now, right?"
yo, I was young. I was like 13, 14 years old when he was teaching me how to DJ. I was doing the same mixes that he was doing because I already knew them upside down, backwards and shit. He's like, nah, just think about it. Just do your own thing. Do your own thing. Don't do what I do. Do your own thing. I was a little
That's
kid and shit.
that's
And, I,
crazy,
and
man.
and one of the interviews that we had, I told the story. I'm gonna just real quick. I was in his house and he was showing me how to DJ. And Flash walks in, and I'm like, yo, what's he doing here? And he said, no, I'm just teaching him how to mix. He knows how to cut. He don't know how to mix.
Your
That's
boy
Really?
was teaching
that's
Flash
how
how to mix.
he was teaching Flash how to mix.
How? What year was this? About what year was this?
This was like early 70s, like 74. I was like
Wow.
14, 15 years old. I was a little
Yo,
kid, man.
not
They
for
were
nothing.
older
I
than me.
think I think you got the wrong guest, bro. You need to bring DJ Rookie in here, kid. He right.
Yo, Rookie disappeared. The last time I seen him, I was taller than him. Before before that, I was shorter than him. And
That's
then I
funny,
seen him
man.
again. And I'm like, yo, Rookie, what you doing? He said, yeah, I'm working for Frito Lay's. I'm like, what club is that? He said, nah, the potato chip.
What club is that?
I'll never forget that shit. I was like, the potato chip. I thought it was a club, Frito Lay's.
That's
So
funny,
and then
bro.
I heard he moved to Florida. But yo, that brother, man, seriously, in our neighborhood, people know what I'm talking about. Rookie, DJ Rookie. But go ahead, this is your
So
thing.
so back to the DJ gig, the
Um,
first one.
you know what? Just to piggyback on what Antonio's talking about, though. Hey, could you shut the fuck up, bro? Um, I think I've ran into a few other people who told stories about somebody else who was like either unsung or nobody ever heard of or whatever,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
had like these close brushes with people who eventually became, huge. Um, and I can't confirm this or not, but someone from my neighborhood in Bushwick, when we were in Bushwick and Cornelia, told me that the guys from my block, who were DJing, had DJ beef with another guy from a couple of blocks away. And I don't know. Later on, when I'm in my teens, I find out that that's Jimmy Spicer, Dollar
Oh,
Bill.
Yeah, dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah. Now I don't know if Jimmy Spicer was from Bushwick or whatever, but that's what they were telling me, bro. But
I think it was from Brooklyn. I think so.
yeah, see, I don't know.
All I know is that Cornelia reminds me of the weed spots.
Yo, so here you go. So on my block, true story. On my block, on the corner, I used to hang out sometimes. I used to play with these Jamaican kids, riding bike, and I would always hear music coming from their basement. And it used to be the weed spot. I already knew
Right.
that was a weed spot, and even though I was 11, 12 years old. One day I hear Duke. Yo, Denroy Morgan used to live on my block
Yeah.
when I was
Wow.
a little
Oh,
kid. Yeah,
he was from the islands, right? He was from the islands.
he's like, I guess he's Jamaican. Yeah. I don't
Man.
really know, but I know I used to play with his son. We used to ride bike and play Skelly.
Scaly, that's my joint. That's my
Show
game.
my age, kid.
Bro, that's my game. I don't care. That's my game. I used to love playing that. I had the little wax. You burn the wax into the caps. And,
Yeah, those are the good old days.
yeah. Kids today don't know about that shit.
With the metal ones, you keep rubbing.
Yeah, you keep rubbing it so it slides.
It.
Kids today don't know about this. They just want to stay home and play those video games. I mean, the video games are cool, but you're outside interacting with people face to face.
Yeah, it's a different world, man, a different time. So
Yeah.
but so not too far away from that era, because I was maybe 12 years old at that time. But a couple of years later, that same cousin, Louis Muniz, he was doing this party. He was DJing all the time. He was doing all kinds of different events, and he said, "Yo, I'm gonna put you on so you could DJ at the Halloween party." And that's it. All I played was Planet Rock, mixed it in with Planet Patrol, play at your own risk. And I thought I had that routine down, but I train wrecked like a motherfucker. Because in those days I didn't know about edits, and I don't think that those edits and all the cuts were on point like as precise as eventually they became. But I had a great time, bro. That was I think my first with him. Maybe 2 years later, when I started collecting buying little pieces of equipment, a realistic mixer and belt drive turntables.
Yeah.
I did a school prom, a high school prom, right in my name when we were when I lived in East New York. I used to do, Sweet 16s and
What high school did you go to?
I went to William. Shut the fuck up, please. I went to William H. Maxwell High School in I guess that's still East New York. So there's a long convoluted story that I was supposed to go to Brooklyn Tech, but that somehow I took the wrong bus and I wound up in William Maxwell. But so all those years doing the hip hop, like that was really all I was into was hip hop.
Yeah.
And doing some of these Sweet 16s and weddings and all that other stuff, I was like, I got to play something else other than hip hop,
Yeah.
So
Freestyle.
There you go. Now we're into 85, 86. So now we got the freestyle, and some of the Chicago stuff was already starting to come over here, and also what do we have? Hanson and Davis. Remember "Hungry for Your Love"?
Oh, "Hungry for Your Love."
And "Tonight." What was that original? "Tonight"? So I started playing some of that stuff, and that's kind of like what brought me into the dance, the clubby stuff.
Even with freestyle, I kind of gravitated towards the deeper underground stuff. There was like I remember Rio's, a song called "You."
Yeah. You play freestyle, Antonio?
I was into it for a little
Come
while.
on, bro. It's Puerto Rico.
You ain't
be a
Rican.
DJ.
You ain't Rican. Get out of here.
No, I mean, I dug it. It's just like I said before, man. The Loft, it just changed my life, bro.
Right.
Like for me, I was into hip hop, rap, all of that. Once I went to the Loft, that was it, bro. That was it for me. Like
Right.
everything else, just
But the good thing about freestyle also, a lot of people don't mention,
I
you know,
still have. I got
girl,
a box somewhere. I got a
the
box.
girls gravitated to that. So you had to play that stuff. You had to play that at your house, your crib, your
Exactly.
car. The girls love that shit. So you know.
I was into it for a little while, not that long, honestly.
You know,
Just
those were
the
love
Loft,
songs. They were
love.
playing all love songs, right? So while
Yeah,
everybody was
Most of those
thugging out,
and most of those girls don't even know how to sing. Really, there was some horrible
they
singers.
were
But you
bad.
know,
They
the
were
music
bad
was
singers.
cool, man. The music was dope, and
it
it was
was.
fun. It was happy.
Some of it kind of went into like Yo Little Brother and all that. Remember Nolan?
Oh
Nolan?
yeah, that was a little. That was. I think that was like the beginnings of
Yeah, yeah.
freestylish kind of. It wasn't even called
It had
freestyle back then.
that vibe.
I think freestyle. The name freestyle. I think came in around 87, 86.
Well, don't forget, it used to be called Latin hip hop once.
Latin hip hop too. Yeah.
Yeah, because
It was like
I
my
used
own
to get
thing.
all the dance music. I forgot what that magazine was, man. It was like dance music.
The Dance Music Authority.
I can't remember what it was, but it was. I think it was part of the RPBC record pool, like Eddie Rivera. So he
Dance
always.
International,
I can't remember what it was,
something
bro.
like that. Yeah,
But
I
I used to look at those magazines and see like, who's this dude from the Bronx, Louis Vega? Like, what's this about? All these
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
So you went from DJing parties, and then I also read in your bio that you started working at Strictly around 1990.
Yeah.
This was before you started getting into production, right?
I was already into production.
So when did you start production?
Maybe 86.
Really?
I had a Casio. My dad, bro, like, I don't know how I convinced him. He bought me a Casio RZ1 drum machine with like four little sampler pads. And my whole, this is 86, 87, something like that. Yeah, around that time. And my whole goal was to make
Edits?
no tracks. Like, I was a big Mantronic fan.
Oh, Mantronic.
So I used to love those sounds, and like I was trying to do that kind of stuff. And I had in high school, I had a crew, two MCs and the DJ producer. We were called the Unbeatable Three. And somewhere in my house in the shed, there's a couple of cassettes with some Unbeatable 3 demos.
Get out of here.
I'm not
You gotta
rapping.
put those out.
I gotta find.
You gotta
That's why
upload them to SoundCloud.
I was talking to Spinner about that, and he was laughing because we were talking about all the old stuff that we did before anybody ever heard of us, you know. But the Strictly Rhythm thing, I gotta give mad props to Benji Candelario, because as a kid, I was always going to buy records at what's that street? That store that he used to work at. Rock and Soul.
They had everything, bro.
Right.
But cheaper.
So I used to buy 2 copies of everything all the time, and Benji, sometimes Benji would ask me like, "Yo, like, you're mad young. Like, how do you know about this stuff that you're asking for?" And I'm like, I listen to Tony Humphries and all the stuff that all of us used to listen to. So Benji and I forged a friendship through Rock and Soul, the record store, and eventually he started working at Capitol Records, working for doing promotions and I think dance A&R. And he calls me up one day. He's like, "Yo, you got a tie?" I said, "Yeah, I got a tie." He said, "Yo, call this lady up tomorrow. She wants to meet you. They're looking for somebody." And he introduced me to Gladys Pizarro, and I went for that interview the following day. And she's like, "All right, start Monday." And I started working at Strictly Rhythm, doing promotions.
How long were you there for?
It wasn't long. Maybe about 7 months. I know it was through the whole summer. And as a kid, I wanted to do some irresponsible things.
You were keeping all the records for yourself?
No, I just wasn't showing up to work on time. Like, it was a mess, bro. I was 19 years old, maybe barely.
We all got those stories, bro. Trust
me. But that experience, introduced me to
house. That house stuff that Strictly was
bro. Let me tell you.
That's a
Let me
good
tell you the
place
people I
to
met.
work at such
You
a young
guys tell
age.
me a good story about what you seen at Strictly.
Uh, I met. I tell you. Let me tell you who I met through Strictly Rhythm in those times. Junior Vasquez, Dave Morales,
Hmm.
Frankie Knuckles.
Wow.
I had already met Louis prior to that. Todd Terry also. And again, we're talking 1990, bro, and that's to me like the golden age where like
It
everything
really.
was peaking, right?
Yeah, it was.
Um, and so one day, this dude comes into the Strictly Rhythm office with like a bunch of demos, right? And I remember him because I saw him selling tapes in the village, right?
I know who you're talking about.
You already
I
know where
could
I'm going with
guess.
this.
I guess. I could guess, but
I'm not gonna say the name, right? When I tell the story, then I'll let you. I'll let
go
you
ahead.
reveal it, all right? But yeah, so he comes into Strictly Rhythm. He's like, "Yo, I got the hot demo. He got these fat rings and shit, all crazy jewelry, not gold, but just like that whole that village look, you know."
Right, right, right.
And he's like, "Yo, like I got this the demo. This the hot shit right here. Like, yo, you gotta." I said, "Word." And even though it wasn't my job, I listened to it first. I was like, "Yo, this is kind of hot, bro." So I told Gladys, I said, "Yo, check this out. I think you might like this." And she was like, "Yo, you think it's good?" I said, "Yeah, I think it's hot." They eventually signed it, and it went on to become a huge hit. I'm not taking credit. I wasn't A&R because that was at the office. It was going to eventually be heard. But okay, who is it, Doug? Who do you think I'm talking
Roger.
about? Roger Sanchez, the S Man. That's right, bro. Yeah,
And I never heard the story, but I could. The fact when you said that he sold, I know he was a mixtape DJ. He was. I had some of his tapes.
Ego
Pro,
Trip, Ego
yeah,
Trip.
before he blew up. And
Yep.
yeah, so I wish I still had those tapes to this day. But man, I lost all my hip hop tapes, all my everything. But
I think I still
yeah,
have a couple of Roger tapes at the house too. Some Ego Trips I just
yeah,
haven't put in.
his right. He was back then as Roger S. Man, he was killing it with that love. You talking about love dancing? You heard love dancing before? So he had love dancing on a demo.
Yeah, Love
Cause
Dancing. Yeah,
I thought Gladys put him in a studio and he created that.
he had a demo, and it was raw. It was an EP, and there was a
Mm.
couple of other tracks on it. And I know that they definitely had to wind up hooking it up, and eventually had to redo it also because of the sample. They had to get the girl's name was Jasmine or something to reset
Oh
her
yeah,
vocal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was in the day too that nobody cared about sampling other people's shit. So
Right.
put it out, and whatever
So
happened happened.
what kind of led you into starting to produce music?
So before that, I was already making little demos. I mean, little tracks at home. And at the time, I can't front. Or everything I did I was trying to do like what Todd Terry was doing, because everything Todd did was
He was
gold.
big. Late
Yeah.
'80s, man. He was killing it.
And it just so happens that I had that same drum machine that Todd had, the Casio RZ1. Um, but that's one of those things that I think I was talking to somebody about this the other day, is that I was so hell bent on trying to emulate my my idols that I never really like allowed myself to really expand and become myself, whatever that would have been at 19. You
Mm.
know, um, and so seeing being in such a close proximity to the business, because I was at the label, working at the label, and seeing everybody coming in, and I saw how the process of the manufacturing of the records, and to going to all these different clubs in one night on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
Right.
Red Zone, Sound Factory, Baseline.
and they were all happening.
Bro, they were all packed, right? A
Yeah,
thousand plus, And now we
All
can't
that
get,
is.
we
I
can't get
try to
500
explain that
people.
to people, and I don't know if they could grasp it. That on any given night, you could just go like there's 20 clubs or house parties or whatever. Like
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't.
they were all dope. Like you
Yeah.
wasn't missing something if you didn't go to this one because this one was dope. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean, and people nowadays, you got to consider about the competition, who's throwing the party, because you might not get enough crowd.
Yeah,
Back then, every fucking club was jumping. It was just,
I mean, a Saturday night consisted of club hopping. You couldn't just go to
yep,
one place,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, at a certain time, yeah, certain time,
yep.
certain era. Um,
So
but
you
yeah,
went from, so you did, so the first record you produced You did it on the same Casio, or you had did you what did you use to do your first record?
The first demo. So let's jump ahead a little bit. So when after I stopped working at Strictly Rhythm, I was still hanging out and doing a couple of things with some of the people that I met in the industry. Is that dog too loud? I mean, 'cause I could put him out right now. It's not my dog, but
You know, pull out a gun, the ratchet.
um
Don't mistake. Hey, be quiet for a while.
the in so I stopped working at Strictly, I think around October of '90, and a couple of months later, Gladys doesn't work at Strictly Rhythm anymore. She starts working at Nervous Records now. Before Nervous Records was a thing, and she's like, "Yo, Frankie, I'm over here. You want to come join me? Like we're starting up all over again." I said, "Word," and did that. And by then, I had slid her a little demo that I did with like, bro, it was literally that Casio drum machine. I had a sampler that I borrowed. It was a Korg delay sample. I don't even remember what it was. It was like a cheap thing, but you can trigger it with the output of the Casio to trigger the samples. And it was like a drum pattern with that sample, and then me humming in her ear going duh, 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 duh. And she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And bro, that was the first demo. Like she paid for a studio for me to go produce that first EP that came out on
There was no
Nervous.
home studios back then.
I didn't have crazy,
No
bro.
home
Like
studios.
hanging. Listen, prior to that, I used to hang out with like Benji and the guys from Cutting Records. So knowing how much a Juno 106 costs, and a Roland drum machine and all the other things that they had in those days, I was like, I could never afford this. But what studios were $35 an hour back then? If something along the lines.
So, what was the name of the first EP again? Because it wasn't the Nomad one, was it?
No, the first EP was it was called Groove Asylum.
Groove Asylum, that's right. That was a nice EP, man.
Thank you, bro.
That's why turned me on to you, because that's when I heard you, and then some of the other stuff that came out on Nervous after that. So when did the internet? When did you start getting booked because of these records? What was the first?
Excuse me. So I think you. It's funny. So I'm gonna talk. We're gonna connect it to Doug right now, because when you and I first started talking recently, you. Oh, look at that. There we go. That's a couple of years later down the line.
Gigolo Supreme, the one you have one on Nervous too.
That was the first one came out on Nervous. Yeah.
That was a dope. I had that one too, man.
Thank you.
I had all the early stuff.
You told me that you were at this Macy's event.
Yeah.
Like Masters at Work with DJ, and I was DJing. Was Roger part of that too?
Who?
Was Roger S part of that?
I remember it was you and Louis. I don't know if it was a whole Masters at Work thing. But I
No, they were there, because there's a picture with Louis Kenny and Todd.
Right.
I think Todd was part of that as well.
Yeah, I was there with my girlfriend at the time, Puerto Rican girl from the Lower East Side. And it's funny, she goes, "I know him." She was talking about you. And I don't know, like, okay, my girl's from the Lower East Side, how you know? I'm like, I forgot how what she said. But
What
yeah.
was her name?
Oh, Diana.
Diana.
Yeah, but I don't know if she actually said knew you, or she had a friend who knew you, but she said she knew you or from somewhere. I guess you got around, you know.
No, not then. Definitely not. Unless she was somebody that I knew from like an acquaintance from the clubs or something.
Yeah, she was from the Lower East Side, so maybe, I don't know.
But
yeah, but that was the first time I saw you, and I went because Louis was playing, you was playing. I don't remember anybody else. I didn't stay the whole time, but I remember you was playing at that Macy's joint.
That was so weird. I felt like a fish in a fishbowl or something. It was a strange thing, But that's one of those things that back then, those were like little small increments of, like, I guess,
stepping
acknowledgement or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, in my head, I was like, yo, this is it. I made it. I'm DJing at Macy's, while they're selling sneakers and socks or whatever. And I'm over DJing, But I'm bugging out though, because when you told me that you were there,
yeah, I was hiding behind the shirts, like,
that's funny, bro. I'm just thinking about.
He told me the same thing about a couple of things that I've done. And he's like, I was there.
Yeah, I'm telling Antonio when I checked out Antonio at PS1.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, I got to tell that story again. But then Antonio was playing a record and he pulled a needle. I think it was a needle.
Yeah, yeah. It was vinyl.
It was records. You pulled the needle off the record that was playing, and it stopped the whole music. And everybody was like, but it was no big deal. You put it back on, everybody got back to.
Wait,
That
that
was
was
so good.
intentional?
No, he did it by accident.
Oh,
No, no. I
okay.
thought I was taking out the record that finished playing, and I took the one.
Wow.
That
Yeah,
happened to everybody. At
and
least.
that was at PS1 when it was in the side rooms before it blew up.
Yeah, I
That
played
was the
it a few
early
times.
PS.
I played it. It was nice. My daughters were little. I got pictures when they were little. They grown women now.
How far
But let
back was
me
that?
ask you something real quick. Um, so so you have this history, and what was what happened in your life that you say, you know what, I'm on to something, man. I'm on to something special because I'm gonna be honest, like like Doug said, I got mad respect for you. Like you can't talk about Soulful House without mentioning your name to me. You know what I mean? I really mean that. And like one of my favorites is Flight. I love that jam. I still play it.
Monique
But
Bingham, yeah.
yeah, yep, you did a great job with that. I mean, that's
Thank
a
you, bro.
song that I listen to. I'm like, you don't have to do anything to that. Just leave it alone. Like you don't need to touch it. Is good. It's as close to flawless as you could get, in my unbiased opinion. But was there anything that happened to you? And I'm thinking about myself. There was a particular jam I did that I was like, yo, this shit is special, man. Like I'm on to something. Did you have any kind of experience that let you say, like I'm on the right path?
Uh, yeah. Before I answer that, though, I'll tell you though that a lot of what I've done, I like to tell people who are close to me. I usually say that this is accidental because we weren't in high school saying I want to grow up to be a DJ or a producer, right?
You didn't choose it. It
Like
chose you.
there you go, and once you got your foot in and you get a taste of whatever little bit feels good, it's hard to like turn away and walk away from it and stop doing it. Um, Especially when you get people around you telling you, "Yo, that's dope, that's fly." And I'm sorry for the Brooklyn background noise.
It's all good,
It's
man.
crazy. But after that first EP came out, which in my head prior to that, and I'm admitting being young and egotistical, but I thought that EP was gonna change the game, bro. Like it was gonna blow the world up. You know what I'm saying? And I was gonna wind up being like the new shit. You know, it didn't. That didn't happen. And but I kept working. I think I did. One of you guys mentioned Nomad. Um,
Bro, man.
that was I think that's DJ Pierre, either DJ Pierre or Roy Davis.
Roy
Roy Davis.
Davis,
Yeah.
that remix.
So I did that.
That shit made noise.
Basically nervous. Mike Weiss is like, yo, let's just keep, he kept hooking me up with projects. You know, I wasn't making no money, but in the beginning of this, you don't really do it for money. You do it so
Right.
that you, I guess, want to validate yourself. That this is
Right.
it means something to you. But Kim English, just to answer your question, get to the answer. Kim English, Time for Love. He gave me that project, and I didn't do much to it because the original chords, Byron Stingley and Pen City produced that. But I thought it was such a beautiful song. I thought that the drums needed a little bit of a different edge, and I added some strings and just made it a little bit more lush. And hearing Louis kill that shit at Sound Factory Bar, I was like, okay, now I made it. This is like, I could die right now. I'm good.
That came out before Missing You, right?
Yes.
Because Missing You, I loved. You killed that one too, man.
Thank you. But the only reason why I was able to even be involved in that album project is because of the remix that I did for that the Time for Love. Yeah. So that was it. That was really, to me, I think Kim English, Time for Love was one of the first records.
There's another remix that I like of yours.
What's that? I can't see that.
You don't have to read that because it's hard to see.
It's a remix you did of Fernando. Soares?
Oh, Fernando Suarez, that's my boy, man. Yeah,
Suarez, yeah.
yeah.
Otra Nota?
He did
Otra Nota?
Quiero Aman, right? That's the name of the song.
Yeah.
Quiero Aman. Yeah.
That's a
He
dope
uh
jam.
he did that's a really good friend of mine from Switzerland, Portuguese cat. And he was, working on projects, and he's like, "Yo, what do you think of this?" I said, "Wow, this is nice. Let me put it out on my label."
Yeah.
Um, and then I,
But then you
remixed.
do a remix of this though?
That's my remix. Yeah, there's
Right.
original. I'm not sure if I put the original version on there.
And it's really, really nice, bro.
Thank you,
It's
bro.
one of those that, kind of you either know it or you don't, but it's one of my favorites also.
And guess what?
It's really nice. The
That was
vibe, the
that was one of the
energy.
first projects I did at home with my Pro Tools Lite when I had just bought like a Mac and Pro Tools. So that was one of the first projects that I did
Yeah.
using Pro
What year
Tools.
was this? What year was this?
2004 maybe, something like that, because it eventually came out about a year later, but I think I started working on it in 2004.
So you went, put out some records, and then I read in your bio that you played at the Ministry of Sound was your biggest your first paid gigs. How was that?
First paid
What year? What year
international.
was that? What year was that?
So again, to tie it into the Macy's thing where you were at hanging out,
I was stalking.
no, but Nervous put together an international Nervous tour, right? And it was supposed to be myself, Masters at Work, Todd Terry, the Vargas brothers. Remember the Whip Man and all
Whip
that?
Man, yeah.
I don't
Rest
know
in
how
peace.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he passed away not that long ago, actually.
We were all supposed to be on this tour, and I was like the opening act or whatever. And for whatever reason, that fell through. In different cities in England, and I think either France or Italy was supposed to be part of it. Eventually, it was whittled down to one gig at Ministry of Sound, and they were like, "You should come and DJ."
That's a good one gig.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was like around 93, 94?
No. This was April of '92.
Wow. Yeah, that club wasn't even open that long. What year did it open?
Bro,
90?
dude, I was at
91?
it opened just like either a couple of months or not. It wasn't that far, not too far earlier than that. They still had like the drywall was still visible,
Wow.
and the taping and all that stuff, the sheetrock, the joint comp, and all that stuff was still visible. That was my first paid international gig. I think I got $200, $250. I can't remember how much it was. I was telling my boy Patrick Wilson a story about this, that I didn't even have a flight travel case for the records, so I was.
So how did you carry that shit?
In my suitcase, bro? Like I had a basically like a crate's worth of records in a suitcase. Yeah, it's so retarded, but the shit that you do just to get by,
And who were you playing? Were you who else was playing that night with you?
Justin Berkman. He was the resident.
Yeah, he was the resident, right?
Yeah, Justin Berkman.
So you were the main attraction for the.
In my head, I was. I mean, I thought that's how it was meant to be. I mean, he played, and then I played at whatever peak time was.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And he played right after me. But that's one of those situations, though, that again, wherever you think your head is, in your own head, you do a trip like that, and you travel for the first time, and you start to realize that all the shit that you think is the recipe, sometimes people don't like that sauce in another city or in another state. And
that's a good lesson, man. That's a good lesson for everybody.
Good lesson, hard lesson to learn. So I was, I had an arm full of records that I thought I was going to blow everybody's mind away, and then a couple of records, you see crickets. People were like, "All right, I'm gonna go get a drink right now." But it was still, I remember being a good gig. I was definitely intrigued by that whole thing, traveling and wanting to be somewhere else and playing music, because nobody was calling me to DJ at Sound Factory or anywhere else, or Red Zone or nothing like that. At least not yet.
Not yet. Let me jump ahead a little bit. Another gig I saw you play, I think it was Legends. I think
Oh, John Davis.
John Davis, Adam Scott, and I noticed you were playing using an earplug like this.
Was I doing? I don't think I was doing that, man.
Yeah, yeah. Cause
At
I
Legends?
remember that. Yeah, I remember like yesterday. I was like, yo,
No,
I
believe me,
forgot,
he remembers, bro.
I forgot who I was with. But I was like,
He
yo,
ain't no joke, bro.
this dude is using this headphone, this earplug. So what is it? Now I know you still use it, right? You still use the earplug
When
thing,
I DJ, I use what they are. They're professional in ear monitors, which
right?
is
Yeah.
what stage performers use to listen to their music while they're singing. Um, it's connected to when I was a little kid. I was always DJing in the bedroom at night, and got to have headphones on, but you can't be playing music. I get smacked up or whatever. Um, so I got used to DJing that way, mixing in headphones. Um, and over time, using the lollipops, I did that. I DJed using the lollipop headphones and all that, but at the end of the gig, bro, like one ear would be like ringing and sounding
And not
crazy.
only that, your fucking neck. After a
That,
while, it's like, yo, I started using the lollipops. After a while, I stopped. I was like, nah, I can't do this all night.
yeah, man. Um, but yeah, so that's what I started using is those in-ear monitors because they were more comfortable.
Right.
They help save my hearing, um, and and I it felt like it gave me a little bit more of a precise hear sound from what I was getting
Hmm.
in the out of the mixer.
Hmm. Interesting. I know Mr. V recently was talking about he bought a nice pair of in the earplugs. I even saved the link, but I've never actually tried because I don't have an actual good pair. But it's kind of interesting because I've usually you see everybody using regular headphones or a lollipop, and you were the first one that I saw using an earplug. I was like, wow, that's different. So that's another thing I remember.
So Frankie, let me ask you, you know, up until today, you play basically around the world. So, has there been anyone that you admired, like an artist that you was a fan of, that you they were on the same bill, and you was DJing and they were performing, or anything like that, or
I've
maybe a DJ that you really admired and was a fan of, anything like that happen?
I've been, um, whatever, however anyone perceives me, right? Whatever level of notoriety, whatever.
Yeah.
I've been on DJ bills where I had to play open up for, and so here's the answer to your question: Tony Humphries, Louis Vega. I played with Eric Murillo. Um,
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Eric Murillo too. Bro, I DJed a gig in England with Boy George. Boy
Wow.
George.
Cool.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I didn't think he was actually going to show up. Black Coffee. Um,
Does any of them stand? Does any of them stand out for you? Like for any particular reason, that dude was like really nice, or just a cool brother? Anything that happened that really sticks out for you in a good, positive way?
the Boy George one stands out for obvious reasons. I think
Yeah,
it explains itself, right? It's Boy
yeah,
George. Who knew Boy George is DJing? And he was cool, he just came into this thing. Um, I think one of the coolest ones was Frankie Knuckles, right? Because I had always known him and seen him around. But we did Southport Weekender years ago, right? I think
they stopped
2000.
that, right? They stopped it.
No, they
No,
stopped
they're still doing
they
it.
stopped
Okay.
doing twice a year. Now they have it once a year, um, and it's not at Southport anymore. Now it's in London. Um, but yeah, Frankie Knuckles, bro. I mean, Frankie got on and did his thing, and it was just like smooth and calm and no craziness, no histrionics, no like you know, it was just chill, classic DJing. Um,
We did a Joanne and I, we did a benefit for Haiti when that earthquake, and we had. I still have the flyer, man. One day I'll show it to you, Doug. I put myself right in between Jelly Bean and Louis Vega. I was after Jelly Bean and before Louis Vega, and we had Joaquin there. We had a lot of people, but one that stands out for me real quick is with Roy Ayers because I grew up with his music.
Hmm.
I grew up listening to his music in the '70s, and I had played in Greece where I was DJing and he was performing, and that was really special.
Wow.
And the night before we had dinner, and we got into like some personal stuff, and he had told me that he had some major surgery about a month before, and he was already on the road. And I had told him the story because my daughters were little at that time. And I had told him the story about that we went on a long drive and I played all kind of music. And I told him, Roy, there's one song that my daughter kept saying, Poppy, play that record, play that record. I said, guess what song it was? He said, which one? I said, should we do? Right. Yo, he started
I knew you would say
laughing,
that, bro.
so then the next night, before he performed the record, he said, "This is for Antonio's daughter, Melody. Her name is Melody."
Wow.
Yeah, yo. He said, "This for Melody," and then he started rocking, Runaways. I'll never forget that. That was special.
Hmm.
I think
Really nice guy too.
all those dudes that I've been fortunate enough to share a DJ booth with. I've always either looked up to them
Yeah,
or at the very least appreciated the craft, and however they do it. Um, but I think one of the ones that I've always been in awe of is Louis Vega. Um, that dude, his work ethic is crazy, like it's
yeah, I heard.
untouchable, you know. Um, and it was also one of the first times that I saw a DJ on the road treat that shit like this is a fucking concert, and like everything has to be on point. Turntables have to be on point.
It's a show. It's an
It's
actual.
a
It's an
show,
actual show. You got to show like a
bro. And
performer.
this was before DJs were doing shows, all that
Hmm.
crazy stuff. Um, so yeah, so that
That was
taught
good
me,
exposure for you though, Frankie, to be around that.
bro.
That was
You
good.
had played with Louis before the Macy's thing.
No, that was literally that was the first time that my name was anywhere near Louis Vega's name.
So
Was a
did you
Macy's.
know Louis before that?
We met through Benji and Aldo Marin
Cutting
from
Records.
Cutting Records, yeah, because Louis was doing stuff for
Right, he was
Cutting
doing the
Records,
stuff.
yeah. This is
But
before
so
Masters at
I
Work,
was gonna
so
say, so that was before MA. Yeah,
yeah,
MAW.
this is when he was still doing freestyle stuff because the Latin Rascals and everybody was doing
Right,
stuff
right.
on Cutting,
India.
yeah.
He was
That's
Um,
remixing music for her.
but being around that dude and Masters at Work collectively, um, that taught me to approach the business in a different way, and that this is
Yeah.
not some like cool, we're just chilling type of thing.
right,
I
right.
can imagine. I can imagine what it do to you.
And
To
ta-
be
and
around
ta-
that.
and take it.
And I've heard the same thing from other people. They tell me the same thing. Like Josh mentioned it to me one time. He was like, "Yo, that brother don't stop, man. He don't want to stop. He's like a machine. Like he's just on it."
Yeah,
Yeah, Louis is definitely one of my
That's what it
inspirations, man.
takes. And you know what? He's where he's at for a reason, bro. It's not just talent. I mean, he's gifted. We all know that, but like you said, the work ethic too. You gotta treat it like
Yeah, that was a
serious.
24 hour, 7 day a week work job that he was banging out those tracks even before the Masters at Work thing. He was
they were
banging them
getting
out.
they
But
were
you
The
know
they were
what?
getting good.
remixes.
Let me cut into something that's really important that us three we all have experience with. What I want to talk about. Um, it's we all have experience with doing music full time and then having another career at some point in our lives. For me, I've never been able to do music full time ever. That's my story. Um, what are the pros and cons about that?
Well, I want to hear
Um,
how Frankie, you recently told me that you joined the workforce as late as 2012. So you
yeah,
had a good run of doing
Yeah,
music full time.
when I met you, you was doing it full time.
bro. So let's talk. Let's go to talk about an old Antonio story. All right, I met Antonio at dance tracks. right? I remember we were talking and kicking it about music and stuff. I don't. What was that van? You used to have a van?
I had a van,
Was
yeah,
that the
big
work
one.
van or was that your personal van?
No, that was my van. I had
So
5 kids, bro. That was
so
a big ass van.
I
5 daughters.
remember talking, and mind you, during that time, everyone that I was hanging out with or exposed to was in the music business,
Yeah,
right? So to hang out with this dude talking about records and DJing, and then he's like, yeah, I just came from work. I said, work? What you mean work? Like that sounded so foreign to me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you were probably one of the first people I ever met that was working nowhere connected to the music industry.
right,
You know? I think you were doing some counseling or something like that. Was that what it was?
right. Social
Yeah.
work.
There you go. Yeah. So I remember that, man, and I was like, damn, bro, like this is like I was like,
You're
I'm
lucky.
lucky. Yeah, I was lucky, exactly. But the other thing that I was lucky at is that my parents owned the building that we were living in East New York.
Mm.
So, I didn't have to pay too much,
Ah, okay.
to cover my way,
Yeah,
cover my costs. Um, but yeah, and then traveling, and you start to make a little bit of money and all the good stuff. And I never, when you're young, you don't think about what things are going to be like when you're 50, and whether you have 5 kids or 1 kid or whatever. Um, so it took me a while for me to be like, I think I want to make sure that I cover my bases, and I don't want to wind up having to set up a GoFundMe, at some point to take care of my responsibilities, my financial responsibilities.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I worked in the music business, but on the label side as a full time, not as a producer or a
Oh yeah,
DJ.
8 Ball.
No, I worked at ZYX. I worked at Wacko Records.
Wacko, wow.
Yeah, Ted Patterson hired me back in 1994.
So how I don't understand. So how is it that you and I never met during that era?
I don't know, dude. I was always in the back. I was at parties and I seen you DJ a million times, but
That's crazy.
I'm not even sure if you were on the promo list. I don't know if you were that good, but
Wacko? No, I wasn't. That was like an exclusive list, bro. I definitely wasn't on it because I bought Love Connection. That was
Love
on Wacko, right?
Commandments,
Love Command.
Commandments.
There you go. Love
Yeah, that
Command.
was a big one. You
That's
didn't
Louis
get that
Vuitton.
personally? Yeah,
Louis
that was
Vuitton,
some
right?
that was some bad promotion on my side if you didn't get it.
There you go, bro. I don't know, bro.
That's
But
yeah.
yeah, man, those are
So let's talk
Sound
about.
Factory
The reason I want
bar.
to talk about this is because there's people out there that are gonna watch this, and they're like, damn, I want to do this full time, but I can't. And to me, you just got to make it work. And to confirm, I heard David Morales in one of his Twitch sets that he was doing about a month ago, talk about, if you don't, I felt like he was talking to me because he was like, if you don't do this full time, you got to act like you're doing it full time when you're doing it.
right.
In other words, and you put your heart and soul into it. And that's my story. Like I've never done it full time, but when I'm doing music, when I'm playing whatever I'm involved in, I give my all.
And it shows. It shows in the quality, of course.
Thank you, brother. And so I've been able to, see the pros and cons about it. You know what I mean? Like there's a part of me, Frankie, that I have struggled. Like I'm in the middle of a jam that I'm really feeling. I want to work on it, and I got the most energy and most inspiration at like 8:30 in the morning. But I gotta get ready for work, and it's like a dilemma. It's like it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And the only thing that helped me all these years deal with it is the work I do, which is social work. And to me, I say to myself, and I know it's a fact, is that this, helping people is more important than music. As much as I love music, there's nothing more important than helping another human being get through whatever they're going through.
It's definitely a lot more
That's
rewarding, right?
yeah, that is, is a type of work that's honorable, and so it gave, it's meaningful. So for me, that's what helped me cope with the frustration of not being able to do it. But there's other benefits. There's other benefits from it. There's other, So I want to hear from you guys. Like, what are the pros and cons? What's your experience with that?
Doug, yeah, you want to go?
So what was the question again? How is it?
Basically, being able to work and do music. What are the pros and cons about that?
Oh, you gotta pay. You can't. Well,
Well,
I know
now
you
When
know.
when
you're
you
doing
when you
it
get
full
into
time now,
production, Doug?
right?
Me, I was started producing with a friend in 2007. I was doing the disco shit. The new disco.
Okay.
Because back then it was DFA, it was metro area, so I was doing that. And we formed a little collaboration, and we signed tracks to Goma, we signed tracks to Turk, a bunch of remixes. We did an album, but it wasn't really the sound that I was going for. I wanted, I grew up in New York. I went to Body and Soul, Shelter. That was my thing. So and that's, I started doing that. But I would say, I don't have the experience that you guys have, but you know how you, Antonio, when you come home from work, you're tired of trying to, you don't, the last thing on your mind is to sit down on a computer. If you work, especially if you're working on a computer all day, you're going to come home tired and sit on another computer and try to produce. That's, that's
Not easy.
definitely, it's not easy.
Not easy.
But I think that quote that you said of De Morales, the little, any amount of time that you put into it, just give it 100%.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a couple of hours a week, give it 100%. No matter if you're just producing, DJing, put your effort, promote it like it's like if 100 million people are gonna see it. Just promote it, push it.
Yeah, I think for me on my end, again, being younger and fortunate during a time where people, I would say people appreciated things a little bit differently back in the days. Um, I was able to sustain a living doing this, and now that I'm working full time, 9 to 5, I work for New York City Transit. I'm a train operator. Sometimes I'm on the train, moving the train, and in my head I'm like, damn, yo, like, I wonder if this chord progression might work on this project that I'm working on. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking
Um,
about.
and so luckily on my iPhone, I'll whip it out when nobody's looking, and I'll hit the notes. I mean the record. What's that recording? The memo, the voice memos, and I'll start humming stuff in it. Sometimes I'll hum like little drum patterns or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and that's the only way that I can somehow uh, tap into that momentary inspiration, and bring it back to when I get home. You know,
Yeah.
Mm.
um, I don't
So
have a
you
lot of time right now. Maybe sometimes like on a work week, I might work an hour and a half if I have that much time
on
after.
music
Yeah,
through for the whole week?
Me too.
maybe if that.
Wow. And you have one child, right? You have one daughter.
Yeah, she's 5. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
that's
that for me
another.
too. Some weeks are better than others, but my work is so demanding, so draining. Yo, I've done all kind of work in my life. I'm gonna tell you, I was even in the Marine Corps,
Wow.
and nothing zaps you from your energy like social work, bro. I'm telling you, it's so emotionally, mentally, and spiritually draining. But music for me is like it's medicine, bro. It's medicine. All these years it helped me cope with life, life issues, just to deal with life, deal with the work that I do. I hear sad stories all day, yo. Try to
That's got to
solve
be heavy,
problems,
bro.
I
very
don't
heavy.
know. I don't know how you do it.
Solving problems all day.
Yeah, you gotta
Put
give it
my
up to my
heart into
man
that.
over here, bro. Hold your head up high. You know that,
Thank
right?
you,
For
brother. Yo,
sure.
and I put my heart into that the same way I put my heart into music. So, it's a challenge, but
Yo,
one of
even
the
the dog
things
is
that,
shouting you out.
one of the things that I see that's a benefit from working and, having an income and then dealing with music, especially dance music that we know that's the money ain't there. You know what I mean? So for me, it's one of the benefits is that you don't have to do what you don't want to do. You don't
Yep,
have to do it.
yep.
If you're not feeling the song, if they asking you to remix a song and you honestly not feeling it, you don't have to do it. You don't have to depend on that for money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in that way, creatively is good.
You know, uh, ba- just piggybacking on what you said right there. There was a good chunk of my career, probably around starting 2008, 8ish, that I started feeling like I I no longer have any like creative control over what I think I want to do with a project. And mind you, no one ever said, yo, you got to do this and it's got to sound like this, right? But I knew that, for example, Father, right? Kenny Bobian. I already knew that that was something that people were feeling and that was a thing. So I was like, damn, I gotta come up with the next Father, you know. And I wasn't allowing myself to work on these other projects to find their own groove, you know. And it was like kind of like trying to stick a round peg in a square box. And so I started. That for me is when I started to. That was the disconnect with the music. I emotionally disconnected to the projects and the music, and I wasn't feeling it anymore, you know. And every once in a while, I would come up with something that I think was something I liked, you know. Whether or not anyone else liked, I don't know, but you know. But it was difficult. Every project, and even today, every project for me is a chore. It's very difficult to get it to a level, to a point where I'm like, okay, I like this now. It feels good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yo, you ever put any of y'all ever produce a jam and then you start, yo, let me see if I, yo, start dancing and shit. Yeah, yeah, this is happening. Yo, because
I don't
I
I
started
don't
doing
dance
that,
to it
going
like
to
at all.
clubs. That was my thing. And I'll produce a jam and I'll be like, yeah, this is it. And I'll start dancing right here, bro. See
But
if
you
I'm
were a dancer, right?
feeling
You
it.
used to go to the garage in the loft, so that was your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I went to dance and listen to music. Not to. I wasn't producing music at that time. Um, and I think for me, that's why to this day, I always gravitate more towards the live sound. Using musicians and stuff because that's what I grew up with in the '70s and '80s. That sound, and even in the house, with the Latin music and all that, it was all live.
I
I
could tell
think
if something. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. What you say?
I could tell if something is good that I'm making when my wife comes in and starts dancing. If she don't
There
dance, then
There you
I know
go.
it's whack.
There
that's
you
the
go.
bellwether. That's good, man. But it's funny, man. Antonio, you again a long time back in the day in that van when we go chit chatting and stuff. I remember you were talking about some of the ideas and dreams that you had for music for yourself. And I was like, man, does this dude know how expensive this shit is? Like, this is no joke. Like, if you want, live musicians, this is gonna take some work.
Yeah.
But you did it. And I remember hearing one of the first jams. I think Joe played it at Body and Soul. Like that was either Joe or Francois. I can't remember who it was. But I was like, yo, my man did it, bro. He had his dream and his vision, and there it is. And that like moments like that, I always take as like a sign, like there's good in this, and there's a reason to be here. Um, and it's always good to know and good to see when somebody who's not from the famous clique or not down with somebody make their own path, and
Right.
start
I
doing
mean,
some
I think
dope shit.
that's. I think nowadays you have to make your own path. It's kind of
It's actually something that I'm really proud of for
Yeah.
myself.
You should be, man. You definitely should be.
As far as always stayed outside the circle and just did my own thing.
You know that today I can say that being in a circle, um, if you don't pay attention to it, that shit could poison you, and it could definitely take you out of your own personal individual element and make you something that you're not.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, it's
But I feel when back in the days when you hear about Frankie or you see a reconstruction, I always felt like you were on the level of associated with the masters at work. The talent, the quality of the music, you was up there. Like you would. That
I
was like I
agree.
felt like you were part of that clique. Like you were part of that sound.
that's a major compliment, bro, and I thank you for that because that's what I was striving to be like, musically at least. I never felt that way about it. Like all that stuff to me always felt like a demo. It just sounded, just didn't feel right. Um, was I telling you the story about New Eureka Soul? You could do it, baby.
No,
No, I was telling
tell us.
somebody that story. But a lot of the projects that I was working on around the mid '90s, whenever there was a budget, we'd be working on at Base Hit Studios, which eventually became Masters at Work Studios. Right.
Yeah.
So I was working on a project. Um, I really can't remember what it was at the time, but I was there, in the middle of this project, and Louis comes in to tweak some things in one of the other rooms. He's like, "Yo, check this out," and I start hearing that dum dum dum, dum 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 dum, and George Benson is fucking.
That's a bad jam, bro.
Bro, let me tell you something, man.
That's a bad one.
Wherever I was in my little bubble at that time, bro, hearing that shit just popped the air out, and I had to go back in my room to hear what I was working on. I was kicking rocks on my way to the studio, to my room, because I'm like, here I was thinking that I was doing something incredible, bro, and this dude just completely flipped the script on me, and I was like, God damn, bro, this is so.
You can't never count that brother out, man.
Are you kidding me, bro? Like, he just.
Frankie, straight up. I'm with Doug, man. Honestly, I hold you in high regard, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Your production, you could tell you come from that school, but you have your own vibe.
Yeah, you did have your own vibe though, because all your remixes, dude, they were your own vibe, really.
Yeah.
Nah, I appreciate it, and that everything, right? The stuff that you do, Doug and Antonio, at some point, even if in your mind, right, you have something that inspired you to get you to a certain point on that project, there's always going to be a part of you that is going to shine on it, and it becomes you and it becomes yours.
Right.
And I'll admit though that during all these years of working, there's a lot of stuff that people never got to hear, because I felt like, damn, I think this might be a little bit too much. There might be a little bit too much strings on this, or there might be a little bit too much of a, I don't know, harmonica solo, or whatever the hell it is. And I was always afraid of being a little bit too far off the cliff, so to speak, off the reservation.
Speaking of Louis, I have a funny Louis story. I had never met Louis. I've heard him play so many times. Back in 1990, maybe 1991, I used to go to Palladium. So, but before we went into Palladium, me and my crew, my boys, we would go to the back of the club and drink our 40s.
You used to go to Palladium?
Yeah.
Not the underground and not...
No, I went to all of them. Yo, dude, okay. Palladium had the girls, bro. That was the beginning. That was the beginning. It was Glenn Fisher nights on Friday, so we were there every Friday. Right? Yeah, he did the Hot 97 too.
No, Hot 103. Hot 103. Or maybe they
or something. I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay, I remember.
But so we would go to the back of the club and drink our 40s. So typical young. I was 21, 20, whatever. And we're sitting back there drinking, and someone comes around. We were like at the exit in the back, and someone's coming right to us, and he was holding a dab player short, dude, and it was Louis. He was playing that night. We actually went that night to see Louis. It was a dope night because it was him. He was the DJ, and there was a whole slew of performers, all the big names of house. Whoever was singing the big jams in 1991, I can't remember. And we all like surrounded Louis. I think he thought we were gonna jump him for that dab player.
That's funny, bro.
And we but instead we like, yo, Louis. We were so excited to meet Louis. Like, yo, Louis, can you sign an autograph, do something? Louis was like cool, calm. He goes, why don't you come up to the DJ booth when you get inside? And we're like, man, you're not gonna let us inside the DJ booth. You're lying to us. Lo and behold, we went inside, and he let us in the DJ booth.
What?
We go up there, and he let us watch. We didn't bother him at all. And he did. I still, to this day, from that night, I still have that flyer where he signed it to Doug, whatever.
Wow, that's
but
cool,
when watching him back then, he was. I don't even know if he was Masters at Work back then. Watching this dude play, I was like, this was another level. I was still, learning how to really mix, and just watching him taught me a lot that night.
Was that your first time hearing?
No, that was the first time seeing him in the DJ booth. Watching how he actually worked the pitch control and how he worked the rep. This motherfucker, you know how he DJ. He's one of the smoothest fucking DJs out there. And back in 1991, he was those blends were like, wow. I actually, and then during the night, I would, it was a dope night. There was like ciphers. There was like 3 ciphers, and I went home like the next day, and I played this. I started doing the same mixes he was doing. That's how much this
He
motherfucker
inspired you.
inspired me.
He
That's yeah,
inspired you.
bro. He was
That's
one of
right.
my one of my first inspirations in this game.
Definitely, man. I think for me, Louis did all that for me as well. I mean, that was one of my first club experiences, like me actually going out to hear DJs and all that. Because I was young. I wasn't able legally allowed to go to any clubs. But I used to always listen to. I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but I used to always listen to Chet Pettibone on
Mm,
Kiss FM at night on the
yeah,
weekends,
I used to listen to him.
and then Tony Humphries when Tony Humphries took over. So those dudes were like one of the early inspirations for me in terms of like DJing technique and selection, like that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think of like
I gotta give it up to Latin Rascals too. Latin Rascals.
bro, I got so many
Um,
Latin Rascal cassettes, bro, from the radio.
Latin Rascals. We're talking the '80s. When did you hear first Louis play? Where was it during the freestyle days?
Yeah, it was 80. The first time I heard him actually DJ was they had him on the radio on Hot 90. It was Hot 103. I think it was like a
Mm,
New Year's Eve jam or something like that. But prior to that, he was already doing like those records on Fever.
right.
Niobe. He did Running. Remember, and Noel, Silent Warning. So all that stuff, I was like, okay, so that's who this dude is. Like, I guess this is why he is who he is.
Yeah,
So and look where we're at now.
Yeah,
yeah. No, he's
So
still doing it, man. After all these years, he's still doing it.
yeah.
definitely a positive influence, um, and a blueprint, for anybody who really wants to do this, like for real, to do this
Right,
for real.
right,
I think that's the kind of blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice you got to make, bro. That dude he's a studio rat, you know.
right. So let me talk to you. Let's go back to the some of your earlier stuff. You did a lot of stuff on King Street. How was that relationship with Issa?
He still was cool people, man. He still was. I don't remember who introduced me to him and how we hooked up. Um, but again, it's funny. Let's talk about perception for a second, right? Where you guys, not you guys, but some people might look at me and say, Frankie is this and he's on this level or whatever. I was always thinking that in order for me to get from here to here, I needed to go and make a record on King Street, or I needed to
Hmm.
do a remix for somebody else or a
King Street
DJ.
was big,
King
man.
Street was the shit back in the '90s, man.
Yeah,
Big,
yeah.
big, big.
So to me, that was like a goal. Like you needed to do something on King Street now.
You had to
Um,
hear everything that they put out. You had to at least listen to it
they
because they put
were
out a lot of good music.
Yeah, they were at the time, right? If you go back to like the New York labels, you had Strictly Rhythm, you had Nervous, you had Eight Ball, um, and then you had I mean, I can't remember everybody right now because a lot of the other smaller labels were putting stuff out every once in a
Mm.
while. But in terms of consistent jams that
Yeah,
you gotta
Yeah,
buy,
you can't
King
touch
Street,
King Street. You can't
yeah,
touch King Street.
and
Issa
they
had a good
had that
ear.
night groove. They had the night groove for the deeper stuff.
yeah,
But Issa had a lot of help too. A lot of there's unsung heroes that some of the DJs. I think Greg Day was one of them,
yeah.
or the earlier House Nation dudes. Yeah, they would. I think he helped A&R a lot of the records. He bought a lot of the
I
records.
think
I
I
can't
think
remember who else.
Basil was part of
Basil,
that too. Yeah. Um,
Basil. A lot of people don't know. Basil was. You can consider what he was doing was Afro. Even him too was doing the Afro sounded stuff in the on King Street
yeah.
during the late '90s or whatever.
The King Street was dope too because they were definitely championing a lot of the Jersey sound. So it helped kind of bring that sound over here and just expand it. Because yeah, Kenny Bobby and Stephanie Cook, everybody's from Jersey. Kerry Chandler, right?
Kerry, huge on King Street.
Yeah.
Dennis
You did a
Perez,
lot. You have a lot of stuff on
Dennis
King Street,
Perez.
bro. You have a huge catalog on King Street. Did you have an album on King Street?
No, I did
No, you didn't have an album, right?
two. I think I did 2 or 3 mix compilations for
From
them.
Mix the Vibe joints.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's another example. Like I saw Joe Clausel did a Mix the Vibe compilation. DJ Spinner, Louis. I said, you know what? I'm nobody until I get to do one of these compilations. On King Street. For the King Street jams.
Yeah, because he put those shits on vinyl. It's just not digital nowadays. He put those on wax, and you had your picture in the.
Speaking about vinyl, Frankie, what would it take for you to release a jam on Reconstruction on vinyl format these days?
Uh,
Would you
that
consider that?
I've been considering it. I've always been careful about these kind of investments because you never know what the return is going to be, and I'm in no position to take a loss right now. I don't think anybody is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I really don't know what the market is right now for any of the Reconstruction stuff on vinyl or any of the future stuff that's eventually going to come out. However, um, I've been talking to, I'm not going to put anybody on blast right now, but I've been talking to other entities that do release things on vinyl, and they're willing to put out a select couple of joints on vinyl. So that might come soon. I think I
Yeah.
want to put out a couple of more records and then release things as like
My
a
next album's gonna
pack.
be on vinyl.
Only vinyl.
Vinyl. I'm gonna do a triple pack, bro.
How do you guys feel about that right now? Though, like there's a resurgence. There's people definitely
There
buying
is,
vinyl.
for me, I think putting out singles is too much. Like I'd rather do an album, where you have like two or three vinyl plus, like with a CD. That's how I'm gonna do my next album. It's gonna be three vinyl and a CD. So it's gonna have 6 jams on vinyl, and then the CD is gonna have another 10 jams. And I'll put it out like that. It's something special, something collectible.
It's like $100,
Huh?
or like $100
For what?
for the
Nah, nah,
pack.
nah.
Less,
About 60.
bro. Listen, you got to put in like
About
a
sixty
U
dollars.
in the package. You got to put in like a U pair of two Antonio Ocasio tube socks. Like sign that shit or something. Then you
Flip mat.
there you go.
No, I
Bump up.
know it. I know
Signed
it's
autograph picture.
expensive, but you know what? I love vinyl. I love the sound. I love something about the digital, man. I've told Doug how I feel about it, man. It never really sat right with me, man. I do it because this is where we at, but I'm not. I've never been crazy about digital and how your stuff is just in the cloud, and I don't know. But so for me, yeah, my next album is gonna be on vinyl. Hopefully, be going into the shop. I said that last time, but I'm really like close to finishing the last jam. So I would love to see a reconstruction on vinyl, man. I'd love to see a medical bed jam on vinyl.
Oh, you
So
have you
speak
haven't put
talk.
anything out on vinyl though?
No, no, not from my label. No,
Oh wow, you
I've
definitely got some
spoken.
joints that need to be on vinyl, bro.
Yo,
Yeah,
but
I've spoken
you
to
know what?
somebody, but
I got something in my head that I need to ask you. There's a jam you did that I was really surprised it was you. It was like one of your. I can't remember the name. It was like a deep jam. I know I have it. I
what you
should
Me
have
talking
or
about?
looked
me or
for
Doug?
Frankie.
Oh,
There was something you did. It's one of your earlier things that it was like a down tempo, like a deep jam. I have it on vinyl. I should have
do you
looked for
remember?
it.
Do you remember what label it was on?
It was an independent label, and it was something that if I played it for anybody that's even knowledgeable and a fan of yours, they wouldn't know it was you. And I
They
can't
won't. They won't
remember.
know it was me.
Nah, they won't know it was you. It's a deep jam,
I think you
man.
should go look for it right now.
And bro, is it a vocal or is it a track? What is it?
I believe it was. I believe it was an instrumental. It was around. Remember when that Scuba came out? That Scuba.
Scuba. That's a label, Scuba.
No, it was the name of the jam. It was like the sky blue. Anyway, you know what? I had to dig it out, man. I had to look for it. There was a jam you did that was really dope, man. It was one of your earlier stuff.
So talking about reconstruction, I feel like you did like it felt like it was a relaunch. Did you like the branding or something? Did you like do a whole new thing with the branding? Was
Yeah, I did. I wanted to. Well, first of all, I had there was a time where I gave up on this whole thing. I wasn't even trying to put records out, or I wasn't even thinking about doing a label again. Especially, having a 9 to 5 and taking care of the family and stuff. Um, but I had a couple of projects that were sitting on one of my old hard drives that I never worked on. I never finished. you know. And I saw that I was doing a couple of remixes for a couple of other people. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm enjoying this. I'm actually having a good time working on projects again. Let me just start the label out. Let me start the label again. Um, and I rebranded it um, because just to give it a fresh, just a different
Right.
fresh take. You know, another approach. Still me. You know, it's just a little.
Right.
I'm a little older. But I also, you know, knowing how everything is so based on social media and all that presence,
Mm.
I wanted to make sure because reconstruction for us is easy, right? It's not nothing difficult to say or to even know what it might mean. But I think a lot of people might have an easier time looking at RBL, you know, and saying, "Oh, rebel," because a lot of the R&B stuff cuts out some of the vowels. So like, oh, rebel sound, whatever. But RBL now stands for Reconstruction Brand Limited, RBL.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I
So,
like it.
and sometimes just now that I'm hearing myself explain it and talk about it, sometimes I think too much and I overthink shit, and it should have just been you know Reconstruction and just let it be what it is.
Mm.
Um,
Whatever works, bro. I believe that. Whatever it takes, whatever works. There's no right and wrong.
So you have future releases coming on the label? More? I know
yeah.
you just released that vocal. It did really good. The female. What was the name? The female vocal.
Terry Dexter.
Right.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that did well.
Yeah, man.
Uh, that's actually one of the records, one of the songs that was sitting on the hard drive for a long time. Um,
Mm.
I did that a really long time ago, and
And it still sounded fresh.
well, I you know hooked it up because what you're hearing now is more of a current version of the music. Um, so yeah, I did that, and I got two unfinished Kenny Bobian projects. They're actually close to being finished. They're done. I'm just being you know nitpicking over the sound and how you know little. I know
That's
you
me
know what I'm
right
talking
there.
about. I
That's
know
me
you know
right
what I'm talking
there.
about.
I gotta go back and rebounce it. I gotta take out this crash and shit.
Yeah, and it's little
Yo,
things
I like
like
that
that.
remix you did on Foliage. That to me was kind of like a hint of the Frankie that I dig.
On foliage, which one? Which song? You know?
The last
Because I think between
last year
three
came out.
projects last year. Oh no, wait.
You had a guitar in it. Really nice. Memory
There's
Man?
memory. Yo, that's what's that group called?
Dalata.
Dalata. Yeah,
Dalata.
That was a dope record.
that was a dope jam, bro.
I
And
think I
yo,
even spoke to you about that. You
I
said you
like
didn't do much to it. You
Definitely spoke
said,
to you. You did
but
good
you just
justice
hooked.
to that joint.
You didn't do. But it was still what you did. You just made it perfect.
I
that's it.
like it.
I'm gonna shift the props and the heavy lifting is to that original project because if you listen to the original song, I think it's 104 BPM. It's got more of a bossa nova, a
Yeah.
samba kind of vibe. Um, and I was like, there's nothing I can do to this musically that's gonna be better than what is there, at least in my opinion. So I just bumped up the tempo, gave it some drums that you know, some beats that you can play in the club. Um, and it's funny though,
It's a
doing that
nice intro
remix.
though. I like really listen to your intro to that up until like when things started to come in. I really dug it. I like the flow of it.
Thanks, bro. I mean, but that's again me giving it the DJ approach, right? Just thinking like,
Yeah,
how would I like this song to be if I wanted to play it at a club or at a party or on a mixtape
yeah,
or whatever. You know?
yeah. Really nice.
But I wound up hooking up with the guy that's singing the vocals on that, and so I have a project with him coming out on Reconstruction soon.
Oh, nice,
Also, Siren Rivers from London, dope brother, man, dope songwriter too.
nice.
Yep.
So, of all the remixes, because you have a lot of fucking dope remixes, which is the number one remixes that you could say is your favorite?
um, I think one of the ones that well, like I mentioned before, when you have this connection with a project for whatever reason, this song connects. You bond with it. I did a song for Real People featuring Darian, a song called Sure. I think that came out in 2009, 2010. I can't remember what year it was.
Mm.
I have that.
But
I
dude,
like that.
that record, if nobody ever heard that and it never came out, that to me would still be my favorite thing that I've ever done.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because just everything fell into place. Like the chords, the drums, like that, like the drums for that. I sampled Stevie Wonder, That Girl, chopped up the intro, right, chopped it up and looped it in a housey way. And just that little loop alone created the path for what eventually became the rest of the project. You know, 'cause I was like, this has to have a Stevie Wonder feel, to me.
So today, do you still use like a drum machine to chop up samples,
Nah,
or you just
bro.
use Logic? That's it. Chop them up in
No,
Logic.
bro. Listen, you know what I'm using right now to talk to you is what I use. I use my iPad. I have this app called Beatmaker
Mm-hmm.
3. And I use use that to pound out the beats. And then I
Wow.
export that. I airdrop that like the individual
Yeah,
sounds
that's everything now, boy. So
into Logic. So I don't have an
So,
MPC
so you
anymore.
just chop up the beats on the beat maker. You do just sampling and.
If there's sampling involved, yeah. But usually I'll have like sounds like my
Right.
kits, like
Your
the
drum
stuff that
kits, yeah.
yeah. So I'll usually
Doug,
use
let
that.
me ask you something real quick, Doug. What's your favorite Frankie Feliciano remix?
Man, dude, I have so many. Feeling Fine is definitely. It's funny when the promo, I was gonna use a production. I think I put Missing You. That's an original production, right?
Missing You, yeah, it's original, yeah.
So I wanted to use an original, so I used Missing You, and Antonio was like, "Why don't you put Feeling Fine?" I said, "Okay, I'll put Feeling Fine." And I'm thinking of, Feeling Fine is one of the fucking dopest records. And I played
That's
it
forever.
recently on my Twitch thing, and people were like, "Wow, that's a
That's one of
record."
those jams, seriously, in dance music, that is forever, bro.
And Father is another favorite. Father, you killed that shit back in those when that came out, bro. That break and the music switched. I thought that was genius.
Thank you,
Yo,
bro.
Frankie, I gotta show you this picture. I'm gonna come across it. Next time I come across it, I'm gonna put it aside. When I play that deep, and there was these two brothers like this. I had a promo of that shit. They hadn't
Deep
heard
Deep
on
what in LA?
yeah, yeah, and they hadn't heard it yet.
Which one?
It was only vinyl. It was the
What record? Which record?
feeling fine.
Feeling Fine.
Yeah, and I had a white label promo of that shit, and they hadn't heard it over there yet. And I played it that night, and I have a picture with these two dudes like this. Look, and you could see the record, the vinyl, and they both pointing at trying to find out what it is and shit.
I think.
Yo,
I
it's a
think.
badass picture, man.
I think I had a promo. They were giving those out like
Really
candy
cool.
to select few at the Winter Music Conference.
Yeah, Miami, right?
Yeah, they were giving quite a. I remember I had so many. I was lucky to get quite a few of the early stuff.
That was that's Masters at Work. That came out of Masters at Work, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Masters at
yeah,
Work.
yeah. They were
Um,
giving out those promos. I was like, yes,
that was if I don't have that project anywhere around here, the original files. But if I were to find one of the versions that I at the time I said, okay, this is finished, it didn't sound nothing like what we hear now
really.
at all. Not even close, bro. Um, and I don't know how it was, but again, it's like this thing that like it's all it takes is one element sometimes that could wind up inspiring you
Yeah,
to take things.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's
what was
true.
that George Benson record that Masters at Work did?
Oh, the
It was
barrio, el barrio.
that one. That's the loop. That's where that's where that drum loop comes from. That whole sample. Um,
Badass jam.
Dope
Yeah,
jam, right? And when I looped it and played it on top of the track that I was working on, I said, okay, this might work. So before I even went any further, I said, yo, I called Louis.
I
I
was
said,
gonna
yo,
say.
I got this idea. I said, but this is what's going on right here. How you feel about that? He goes, yo, it feels good. It feels good. Just let's go. Go with it. Go with it. It's cool. And that's how that ended up, man.
Hmm.
You know? But
So talk
had
about
he said no,
you
I
put it
might
with it.
yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
have come out that
Well,
way.
you probably could have gotten a real player, another player, replay this.
And I gotta give Antonio props and some of the other producers who work with like live players. I've never been good at adding that element um, to these projects. There was a time where I had my own conga set and bongos and stuff at home, and I used it for Monique Bingham for Flight. That's all me playing on that. A couple of other projects. But it sounds like somebody who doesn't know how to fucking play. They just hitting on the drums and shit.
Hey, you got that rhythm.
Yeah, but let me tell you, it does. People don't know it. We spoke about this last time or whenever. It takes a skill to put a record together, even if you're not producing the music, the instruments, to make it sound cohesive, to make it sound like one record. That's a skill in its own. A lot of people don't know about that, but it's.
You gotta
Yeah,
give props to the
I've had
producers.
people tell me, yo, that the band that is. I say, yo, they don't even know each other. They never even met.
Yeah.
If you could get a song that sound like everybody was recording at the same time in the studio, then you did something right.
I mean,
That's not
that's it. At the end of the day, you're the element. You're the
Yeah.
glue and the special sauce that makes
Exactly,
the whole
yeah.
thing sound right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been really good at that stuff, man. So,
well.
this
You're good at what you do.
I appreciate
That
it,
I
man.
can say.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
played a lot of parties in New York. Which is the best New York party that you played at? Your favorite or a memorable experience?
Body and soul, bro.
You played at the Body and Soul Jam. What year was this?
Uh, 96, I think it was.
Wow, that was
90s.
like the height. That was the height. That was the beginnings of.
It was, but yeah, but you know what? It was actually the beginning of when they merged, or because I think they had brought in like a different promoter, so that was like one of the first times that the place was ram packed.
That was at Vinyl. It was still at Vinyl.
At Vinyl.
Yeah.
And Joe and Danny and Francois like, yo, come play. And mind you, I'm accustomed to someone saying, come play, and you're gonna play your set. When you play at Body and Soul, you gotta kind of blend in with the way they do things. You play a couple of jams, and they play a couple of jams, and it works out that way. But it was fun. It was incredible, really, because I played another project that I had just done. Intervision. Don't you ever give up.
Oh, I love that jam. That's my jam right there. Melanie Daniels, something.
Melanie Daniels, bro. And
badass jam.
She's bad, and big shout to Dwayne Harden. He wrote and produced that original song. You know Dwayne, right? You know who Dwayne Harden is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we did. I played that there, and I like just the whole room just exploded.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that was the first time that's ever happened to me in New York. I never had that kind of experience.
Really? Even I know you played a dance ritual with Louis, right?
Played a dance.
I think I heard you play. They used to do dance ritual at Vinyl on Wednesdays.
Yep.
I think I heard you play there too.
Actually, we go a little further back because that Sunday that I played at Body and Soul. Just a couple of hours prior to that, Louis used to do a party at Vinyl on Saturdays, and I played that night. Louis was out of town or something like that, and I played. What was the name of the party, man? It could have been called the Ritual or something other, some variation of that. Yeah, that's in the 90s, bro. 90s, 96. It had to be 95.
Yeah, there was so
96.
many parties, man. I can't remember. Yeah.
No, you know what? That was 99. 98. Now we're going further. I'm trying to get the dates right, but I think it was 98. That sounds about right.
I think I even heard you play. Oh man, did you play a flower shop party?
Yes, with Tony Humphries. It was his birthday.
Tony Humphries at the flower. Wasn't it the Marlon D Underground something?
Underground Collective.
Underground Collective. You played that jam. I was there.
Damn, bro.
Bro, I got around New York.
Yo, he will shock you with stuff. He'll remind you of stuff that you forgot about.
That was a dope, dude. That was a dope jam because it was at a fucking flower shop, dude. They closed up the flower shop like, what the fuck is this?
Do I remember right though? With like the wall, with the glass. It was
right behind. Right? Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I think it was actually the DJ setup was right in front of the glass of the. I think.
I believe so.
Man,
that was nowhere in my mind until you just brought that up. I forgot all about
dude, because you know what? Some of the best parties are not actual clubs. It's just like these little pop-up jams that you're like, what the fuck? I'm in a flower shop.
I got a quick Francois story. I was playing at Legends, and I always ask Joanne this. I said, Joanne, have you ever seen Francois dance? She said, she known for a long time. She said, I never seen him dance. I played at Legends. I'm playing all kind of shit, right? This is how I got invited to play at Body and Soul. And the brother came up to me. He was soaking wet from dancing. Francois.
Francois, wow.
Yeah, and I was playing like just off the wall, all kind of crazy shit. And then he came up to me and was like, "Give me your number. Give me your number. You playing that body and show?" And like within 2 weeks,
But you knew him though, right? Prior to that, right? You already knew
I
him.
knew him, but not I knew him, yeah, because I had did my first jam at his studio, but he had never heard me play.
What, Axis?
Yeah,
Axis Studios. Wow,
yep.
that place
And
is legend. You know, he did
yeah,
Depeche Mode records there. And all
at
kinds of stuff.
Legends, he had heard me play, and then that's how I ended up getting to play at Body and Soul, a few times because of him.
Does he dance on beat or off? Because I've seen him
But
do like this weird kind of like hippity skippity hop thing where I'm not really sure what he's listening to.
yeah. No, he was sweating bullets, bro. I'll never forget that.
That's
Legends,
funny.
Legends was a dope party. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
It
it
was.
was. I like
I
It
it.
was
like
a
that
dope
that
party, man.
space. What
Yeah,
was it? Was right by it was right next to, was it Life?
it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was under.
it was
Yup,
part of Club Life, right? And that,
yup.
that
Yeah,
eventually became
Around the
what
corner.
Le Poisson Rouge, right?
yeah.
Whatever happened to Adam? I haven't seen that dude in a long
He's
time.
on Facebook. He pops up with he'll pop up and say I'm playing at
He's not-
well that's when he was doing Frank's Lounge, not that close to, so I don't know what he's doing now, but
I haven't seen, or heard from him. But Adam, um, Adam and a lot of other unsung brothers, right? Or sisters too, because
Yeah,
you remember Jennifer? Jennifer, my
yeah,
they used to hang, just used to work
yeah,
at dance tracks, right?
yeah.
Bros, like
oh yeah.
she used to play some jams, and I'm like, yo, like this is dope. Forget about whether she's a guy or a girl DJ, whatever it
Yeah.
is, but like the
He
fact
played
that
some jams. Yup,
it's just a different, fresh approach, you know.
yup.
And I used to appreciate that, going to different parties and hearing other DJs playing and just playing some jams, and you're like, damn, bro, nobody put me on this shit. Bro. This is hot right
Yeah.
here, you know.
Yeah, Adam Scott is a really cool dude, man. He's really
And Adam was good for that. Adam was really good
yeah,
for
at Vinyl Mania. He
Yep.
used to work at Vinyl Mania.
that. Yep.
Last time I saw Adam, it's funny. It was at Francois K's Deep Space party. At what was the name of the club? Cielo. So I'm walking up and I see I think he was standing. Somebody was next to him that I went to say what's up, and I look to the right and this bald dude says what's up to me, but I didn't recognize him. And he goes, "Oh, you don't recognize me?" And I was like, "Adam." He cut
It was
off. He had
Adam?
cut off. He had cut off his dreads. I always
Oh,
seen Adam
wow.
with dreads, maybe a little bit of stubble.
That's one cool brother, man.
Completely bald. I was like, "Yo, shit."
Dude, this
That
whole
was
time you're talking that you brought up Adam Scott, I'm picturing that Adam Scott that you described.
exactly.
And
You always
I was,
picture him with the dreads and the bandana.
yeah,
Man, he was totally bald. This was back. This was back in 2000. Man, this was late 2000s, maybe, somewhere around there.
I haven't seen that dude.
But I've talked to him a couple of times on Facebook. We usually diss each other or just crack jokes or whatever. But he's not really a big face. He probably lurks a lot on Facebook, but he's not always on Facebook.
So Frankie, tell us what's happening what's your future in music looking like? What do you got coming down the pike? Anything you want to let the people know about that you're working on that they can look forward to?
yeah. There's so I mentioned the two Kenny Bobian projects that are coming out soon on the label. I just did a project to a remix for
It's coming out on your label.
yeah, on Reconstruction Recording. And I just did something for my boy Albert Menendez. He did a project with Sarah Divine. So it's a song called Joy, and that's coming out soon. It was gonna come out like late last month, but I told him, I said, "Yo, Albert, let's do a video." He's like, "Bro, what are you talking about a video? I don't got no money for a video." I said, "Dude, I got the camera." I said, "Let's just get Sarah. I said, let's do this." So that's been like a little side thing for me
That's
too, to
nice.
help keep
Promote
the
it.
creative juices going
Yeah,
for me.
absolutely.
So we shot a video last week, so I'm in the process of editing that, hooking that up.
Oh, you doing the editing too?
Dude, I mean, when you buy a house and you can't afford to get a contractor, you got to do the plumbing, you got to paint, and you got to do everything. So there you go. Yeah,
Bro, I was on my roof just the other day.
yeah.
Very few things I don't do, bro, in the house because
And mind you, full disclosure, I'm not trying to say that I'm good at editing. but yes, I'm doing that too.
You do it. Why not?
You gotta teach yourself somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So what are you using? You using iMovie or something? Or
no, I'm using this program called DaVinci Resolve.
okay,
I think I heard that.
I got turned on to it because they have a free version,
what is it
but
called?
it's
DaVinci Resolve.
like Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, DaVinci
Resolve. I think
Resolve.
Resolve. Okay. I gotta
Um,
peep it. I gotta look into it.
so I got it because it was free, right? And I figured I'm not trying to pay for Final Cut Pro and any of that stuff. And I find out later on that that program is used by a lot of like Hollywood people because it helps them fix um, a movie clip, movies that they're working on. They use it to color grade and arrange the colors and the brightness and all that stuff. Um, and I don't know the very first time that you opened up Logic if it looked like a weird thing on the screen to you, but the first time I opened up this DaVinci Resolve thing, I was like, what the fuck did I just get into? Like, I had no idea what the first step was going
Hmm. So everybody is DJing online, live streaming. How come you haven't jumped? Yeah, I think you're one of the few who hasn't jumped on the live stream Twitch culture. What's up with that?
to be. I think I told you privately that me personally, after about 45 minutes, I get bored if I'm doing that like that. Because I need to see a little bit more of an interaction and see the people and I guess I gotta feel what's happening in order
The
for me to feel
energy, the
like
vibe.
yeah, exactly.
No, I hear you.
That's one reason. The other thing too is that a lot of the times that would be ideal for streaming are times that I'm either working
Hmm.
or reading a bedtime story to my daughter, and I'm just once that's done, I'm ready to go to sleep, take a shower, and go to bed, bro. I'm not
Yeah,
screaming,
man.
But I gotta, just because you brought it up, like we gotta give props to like Spinner, that dude from day one when this pandemic was popped off, that he was, he's been streaming like this is his residency, every week, 3 times a week sometimes.
Rich Medina too, since the beginning.
Rich,
He's been on it.
So I'm wondering, do y'all think that this is once this pandemic is completely over and the clubs start opening up, will people still be doing this Twitch thing? Or the
I
you
do.
think?
I think so. I don't know what you guys think. I
I
have a
think
I thought about that.
I'm starting my own right now. I'm actually done a couple. I think it's just fun because I do a lot of interacting. You gotta chat with the people in the chat room, and you gotta chat. You gotta talk. You gotta connect with the people because they're taking their time to just view someone on the fucking screen
I
just
did a
playing.
few of them, Frankie. It was fun, and then I kind of, I don't know, I wasn't quiet anymore. I did it for a while. I was having fun, and then I was like, that's enough.
it's a for me
But
it's
it
a
was
lot of
cool. I have
it
fun.
definitely takes a
It
lot.
takes fun. It's
It
It's an
takes
fun.
a lot,
effort
but
though.
to be consistent with it, it does take a lot,
There
man.
you go.
And not only that,
Too much music too.
not only that, bro. I had
Music.
just to do a Twitch thing. I had to rearrange my whole fucking room.
There
So
you
that's
go.
a whole. It's like you have to set up a whole fucking studio just to fucking Twitch to go
Yeah.
live. It's like
That's
lighting,
and that's what I'm saying is
video.
that the one time that I did it, which was last year in April, um, I actually rearranged literally half the living room, right?
Yeah.
And this was all just on Instagram. It wasn't even Twitch or anything else. When I did it for like an hour, and then I think the battery died on the iPad or something like that. It was cool, but I was like, this ain't for me. There's people who do this and they're really good at it, and I think I'll stay in my lane and enjoy when they do that thing.
Yeah.
Alright.
That's what I do. I tune in sometimes and give support. So it's fun.
You just played for like 5 hours, didn't you? Like with the guy from the Loft. What's his name? Douglas Sherman.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did it with Doug, and it was cool, man, because uh, it was just about it wasn't
You
about
did a 5-hour stream.
Was it 5 hours or 6 hours? How long
I
did
don't
you
know.
go
I
for?
don't know. And we could have went longer too. It's just like I was like, it's time to go home. But I think we're gonna do it again because I really enjoy playing. Sometimes you just click with people. As far as playing together, I've had those experiences where I really like play well with certain people, and I really enjoy playing with. And the good thing with when you play with people like Doug, it's not about the mix. You know what I mean? It's about the music. It's about playing some amazing music.
Yeah.
The focus is not on the mix.
Doug,
It's
did
about
you ever go to the party that Antonio and I did with MKL and
that was dope.
wait, was it MKL, you and me, or is it
Me, you, and then
and Victor? Right, I know
Victor was
Victor was
down too.
yeah, man.
Where
What's
was
that
this
part?
at?
The bank. Is that what it's called? The
Yo,
bank?
and yo, and we was getting that party was getting hot, and it just stopped. But it was getting really good.
I did go
Well,
to a party that MKO was playing. I don't remember if it was your party. I don't remember.
it was I believe it was Benny and
It was
Victor's
Benny,
party, right? And he
huh?
had, I think it was Benny and Victor's party. Or was it Benny's party and he had Victor, you, and me?
No, I had approached Benny about doing it with MKL, and then he
Okay.
brought you and Victor.
So, but we didn't have four DJs, did we?
Yeah, bro, that shit was crazy. That's the only thing that was a little, because we would play like 2 or 3 jams, and you had to wait too long to play another 2 or 3 jams.
Yeah.
But the music, everybody was playing good music.
Yeah, people were
And
enjoying themselves, man.
we did a few, yeah, everybody, but it just got to the point where we was getting crowded up in there, and it was getting to be a really nice party. But it was cool. Like
I love you, mommy. Good night.
there's a record that you played that I actually named it. That every time I listen to it, it reminds me of you. I think it's called "Born Again" or something like that. From one of them dudes
That,
from Italy.
oh, I was born in a system. Right, that one. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
I think it's
yo,
the
you
Pasta
played that.
Boys.
I was like, Frankie, what is that? You said "Born Again." And
Yeah,
I ended up buying it, getting it, and every time I still listen to it sometimes. I always think of you with that
the
particular jam.
what was that? The Pasta
That's a bad
Boys. I
jam,
think that's
bro.
their crew's called, the Pasta Boys.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, Pasta Boy, and it's just basically a track, but it's hot. Really
it's a,
nice jam.
it's a dope jam. That used to be one of the records that you play. You build up the energy, and then from there you take
Yeah,
it anywhere.
yo, we was all playing really good music, and what was cool was that if you went there to this particular party, you get Frankie, you get Antonio, you was getting different flavors the same night. It was happening. That party was happening, man.
I'm gonna tell you something though, right? To keep it on the humble. Um, After that party, uh, if anyone were to book me to do a party here in New York, we'd be lucky to get 20 people or 30 people there. And I don't know if there's a certain time here in New York where all of a sudden nobody wants to come out to parties anymore unless it was like fucking Elvis Presley DJing, or some
Yeah,
shit like that.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, after that, that was probably the last of anything big that I was connected to here in New
In New
York.
York City.
Yeah, in New York. Yeah. After that, I'd be doing parties over here for like 10 people plus the bouncers and the and
Yeah.
the bartenders.
No, everything definitely changed. After that, I moved into doing Wepa with Joanne, and we did that for about 5 years. I think it was. It was really successful. We had some big parties, we had some small parties, but it opened up other doors too. Where I ended up doing NJ Pack through Wepa, and did a couple boat rides. It was nice, but yeah, definitely things changed, Frankie.
What do
Things
you what do
changed.
you what do you aside from the project you mentioned where you were gonna put up the vinyl? What else you got coming out in the label?
Um, right now. I'm working on the music for the next album. So I got like 6 jams for the next album. It's gonna be
Wow.
the vinyl also. And I work slow, man. Like this current album, that whole man, I keep saying this shit, but honestly, I'm up to the last jam, and I'm just tweaking it, like you were saying. This little thing, I'm tweaking it, and I gotta get it in there. It's been like 2 years I've been working on that music.
Wow.
I
But
work slow, man.
you're gonna tweak it, get it just sounding right, and then you're gonna listen to the first jam and you're gonna be like, damn, but the first one doesn't sound as good as the last one now. And you're gonna start tweaking the first one, and then it's like,
Nah, yo, I'm happy with the music, man. Yo, I got
But
a Latin jazz jam on there, straight up Latin jazz. I got like an acid jazz jam that's on there. I got a soulful house, all different. I'm doing this jam. The one I'm finishing now, I ain't even no genre. It's not even a genre, bro.
so let's talk about how hot Doug Gomez is right now, bro. Like he's like
Doug is
putting out
doing his thing.
fire, kid, fire, right?
Thank you. I
And
don't know about
again,
that though.
no, yeah, fire, my man. You already know. And the crazy thing is, again, I'm gonna say it again. I'm like, how the fuck is it? Like I never hung out with you, didn't meet this dude, we never crossed paths. You know?
He was
I
there.
was I was there lurking.
He was there.
Can't be
He was
lurking,
at my
kid.
parties. He was
I
at your
was I
parties.
was in I knew I hung out with the other dudes from labels. I hung out with this dude Roman who actually passed away. He used to work at King Street.
The Russian kid,
Um, yeah,
he passed away. I didn't know that.
yeah, man. He passed away. Rest in peace, little Roman,
What
whatever.
happened to him?
Dude, I don't know.
Yo,
He passed.
he hooked me with a gig in St. Petersburg, Russia, bro.
Dude, he was a really nice guy, man. We hung out a couple of jams. Really nice kid. And he
Oh
passed
wow.
away just like that.
Man,
I hung out with Toby from used to work at Tommy Boy.
another label.
This dude, oh man, I forgot this dude that used to work at this other label. Man, I was at parties, bro. Plus, I had to promote the records. I gave up records and whatever, you know. But I was deep in it. I did my own little jams too. But it was 90s
But
was a magical time,
all of
man.
that has led you to this point. And like
Yeah.
Frankie said, you're doing your thing, and I'm
Yeah.
proud of you, bro.
Thanks.
Straight up.
But growing up in New York, that's what you had to go out
And,
and
and you move right into the whole digital thing. You just flow right into it. I struggle with
there's
that.
no choice. I don't have the funds to put it out to put my money into wax.
Yo, but check
And
out check this out though. Look at how the environment, the digital age that we live in right now, right? How much of what you do today do you think you would have been able to do
Yeah.
back in 1999, living in where you live? You're in Costa Rica, right?
yeah, I'm in Costa Rica now.
Yeah, like like there was a time that in order for Doug Gomez to become Doug Gomez, you needed to be in New York, you needed to hang out with,
To spend money in
or
the
in a certain
studio.
circle and be in the studio, and put the record in the right hands at the right time. You know?
And
Yeah, I
then
mean
maybe you'll get a gig. Maybe you'll get a gig from the music.
well, back then it wasn't so much where you are. It's just the quality of the music because everybody sent demos through the mail and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
just to just to get if you don't have your own setup, you had to book studio time like Antonio used to do at the beginning of his career. You had to get that. Then and then the label had we used to get loads of demos, and it has to be the right demo. It has to be really hot to spend money on wax to press it up. Then you got to spend money on shipping.
Yeah.
The promotion, sending out records. We used to mail out like hundreds of
The
records.
thing at that time, though, the good thing was that even an unknown like myself, my first record, I pressed 3,000 records, which is good. 3,000. Nobody knew who I was. I just pressed 3,000 and sold them and repressed. So even for unknown people, you was pressing 3,000 records.
So Frankie, what was that record? What was that remix that you got a nice fat check for? I'm not gonna ask you how much, but what was the record that said, "Yo, look what I got. Look at this." What was that record?
That's easy, and it was never. I'd never made a lot, like on one shot, like on one project.
Mhm.
But Hisa from King Street was asked by an artist, they're like an incognito kind of band from Japan. I can't remember the name right now.
Not Mondo Grasso.
No,
Mondo Grasso.
no. I was excited because that's what I wanted it to be. I thought it was a Mondo Grosso kind of thing. But it was a different band. I think it's called Imajiku, but I just don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. He's like, yo, the label wants you to remix this project, and they have this budget. I was like, what? Like, wow, that's a budget. That's a legit budget. I could do a lot of things. I started doing math. I said, okay, this is going to cost me this much just to book this much time at a Masters at Work studio, basically wherever I was doing it. Or I could finally invest in my own studio at home. And so that's what I did. I took some of that, most of that money, well, some of it, and bought a Roland VS 1680, which was like a digital.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you familiar with it?
Mm-hmm.
I actually missed that thing. I think that to me had a better sound than what I'm doing right now with Logic. I did Father. I did Kenny Bobian on that thing.
Wow.
Nice.
I bought that. I bought my Mac, my first Mac computer at the time, and I still had like a good couple of $1,000 left over, man. So
Nice.
took my girl to dinner.
Hey.
She got the extra cheese on the pizza. You know what I'm saying? Hooked her up. And that was it. That was the biggest paid remix.
Nice.
It was close to 10,000. It wasn't like, you know, I was hanging out with people who were making 50,000 or 60,000 for remixes. You know, so 10,000 was like, to them it's probably like a drop in the bucket. But for me, what?
And now it's not like that for.
No, it's not even close. Not even. It's like not even remote. It's embarrassing.
You know, it's unfortunate right now, but it is what it is. I mean, the fact that I look at it, it's a blessing and a curse, because we're talking about a time where music was dominated by like a small clique, right? A small group of people. So everybody who was hot was just this one group of people. Now, with the digital age and the internet and everything, it's like sort of an even playing field right now. So anybody who has talent can get their stuff out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's everybody who, even people that don't have talent, gets their shit out there. Unfortunately, so that's the bad part of it.
Right, blessing and curse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because people don't have the same financial appreciation for the product. You know, there's no budget for these projects anymore.
Yeah.
In the thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least not for me, not my stuff. I don't know.
No, nobody. Well, and talk about the music production. Now, like, you know, we had mentioned before that we started talking about, you know, getting into this chat. It's easy for anybody to get a computer, get your DAW, start producing tracks. What's the future now? What you know, is there a future for this music? It's Traxsource releases 300 new tracks every week. 300 they have in the Week at Weapons chart. 300, and that's just in the soulful. No, not soul. It's all the genres, but that's just one store.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot, man. And you know,
and how dope is it that you wound up hitting #1 often out of all those releases? Oh.
It takes work, man, but
see,
it's just so saturated right now, and it's just a shame because there's a lot of good music that gets lost.
Yeah,
within all that.
There's a lot of music that gets exposure that's not, honestly, I'm sorry, it's not that good. I don't want to get into negative shit, but there's stuff that's like in the top 10 and it's like.
And they're sampling fucking disco records, the same disco records.
Out of key, all kind of shit, and everybody's playing it. Come on, man.
And there's producers that will remix records, and it's like a mashup. They put a track, and the vocals don't even go with the music. It's not just off keys. It's just it's a mashup. But people are charting it. People are buying it. Like, and sometimes I approach it, and sometimes I look at the chart and see who's charting it. And I've spoken to some of these people who chart and say, "Yo, don't you hear that this record it's not really matching the vocals?" And they're like, "Okay, you know, you're right." Joe.
So here's my take on that, right? I think
I want to hear this.
You got to put it in perspective, right? In the right context, I should say. If we go back, Antonio, let's talk about when we were hanging out at Dance Tracks, right?
Yeah.
We would go there with the sole purpose of of buying some joints, right? Some
Yeah,
music.
absolutely.
And Phil D would say he'll grab a whole bunch of stuff, then you got a whole armload of records that Phil D gave you, and then Joe or Stefan will give you some joints, and then you got another armload. And if you had time, you would, before you buy all that stuff, you would kind of like sift through and be like, man, what do I really want, and what do I
Yeah,
don't want. You may have bought 12 records out of the 50 records they just gave you. You may have bought 12,
yeah,
right? And then you look around, there's still other stuff on the wall that we're not buying or we're not touching or whatever it is, right? So even in those days, even though the distribution method was different, there was still a boatload of fucking crap on the
that's true.
walls,
Yeah,
That,
there's still yeah.
that's
the,
true.
the difference is that now, because it's so easy, it's so much easier, uh, the the threshold is a lot bigger now. So now instead of 10 whack records, there's 100 whack records.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That makes sense. That's a
Um,
good way to look at it too.
and
And not only that, when people I hear always all the time that track source is they're favoring certain DJs, they're favoring certain producers, but the dance tracks and record stores did the same thing. Like you said, Phil D, Stefan, they used to hand you the records that they thought was hot. It's the same thing track source is doing. It's no different.
Yeah,
They're just handing you what they think is hot and what's going to sell for them. They're in it. They're in it to make money, so they're going to give you the hot stuff. But yeah, you still go to the wall and check out what's on the wall. The same thing we're doing now. We'll go through the rest of the digital stuff that's not in the top 10 or 20, but we'll just go down the chart and see what's playing.
yeah,
It's no different. And I tell this to people all the time who complain about track stores. They're not doing anything different than brick and mortar stores back in the days. The same shit.
I
yeah.
think
It's just yeah,
I
different
think also
format.
that with the choices that people who buy music, the choices they make, there's always music that's gonna be for a common denominator, right? Um, and I always compare that to, say, for example, a lot of people, a lot of us, who, when they're hungry, they go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, they go to McDonald's, and they get food. They just want to eat. They're not worried about what that fucking tastes like or whether or not there's something better, right? And then you got people who have a little bit more of a discerning palate,
Mm.
and they'll wait that extra hour to go to a restaurant because they have the awesome avocado toast or the pate.
Mm.
Um, so I think that even though there's a lot of people who buy crap, there's still an audience out there who recognizes the cream.
Yeah,
They'll wait and buy that. So it's just a smaller audience. It's a niche. It's a niche audience. You know,
yeah.
but it's out there. And we gotta, I guess, count our blessings. And
Yeah.
appreciate whatever little bit is out there for us.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
So,
then the thing about you, dude, you still, even though your music is more sporadic, you don't release as much remixes and stuff. You still, when the stuff does come out, you still on point, bro. After all,
yep.
you still,
Appreciate it, man. Yo,
yeah,
30 years in the game, right?
yeah,
Because the first record was 91, November of 91 is
yeah,
when that
nervous,
first
right?
record. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're approaching 30 years real quick. You know,
So me and you, I think I was the same age. So you're 50, right? 50?
I'm 50. Yeah.
Yes, we're the same age, man. So yeah, it's just,
We've all been in this for a while, and for me, the way I look at it is that we're in our wisdom years, and we need to start giving back. You know what I mean? That's how
I
I see
agree.
it.
I agree.
You know, we've been blessed, throughout the years, and even though things have changed and all that, we still here, we still blessed, and now in our wisdom years, we need to start. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this with Doug, Frankie, so that we can give back. So people that is coming up, they could listen to the stories and realize that what, okay, you can't do it full time, but there's people out there that can't do music full time, but they still make it work, and it's okay. There's no formula to this. There's no right and wrong. Whatever you got to do it, you follow your passion,
True.
and hear
True.
stories like yours,
True.
um, hear the things that inspired you,
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah, there used to be a time where somebody could say I'm a producer, and that's what they did, like or a DJ, or whatever, and that's what they did. And there's still, I think there's still a lot of people who do that, but I would not suggest advise anyone who's young to consider giving up their day job or anything like that to do this thing full time, bro. This is
Well, especially not soulful
That's
house
real
music.
talk, right?
definitely that, bro.
That's
Definitely
real
not
talk, Frankie.
at least go do some techno or some shit.
No, I appreciate that, Frankie. That's real talk, and that's good advice.
There's somebody that,
It's about keeping
again,
it real,
I'm
man.
not I'm not gonna blow them up, man, but somebody that I did a project with a few years back. Um, the project did well, uh, relatively speaking, considering the times and all that other stuff. He was doing a couple of shows based on this project that we did together. And one day, I'm doing a gig, and he's one of the performers, right? And he's like, "Yo, I'm I'm quitting my job. Like, I'm doing this. This is my thing. I'm going to be singing and writing songs." And I looked at him like, and this was like around the time where things started really collapsing in this industry for us, I'm like, "Bro, you crazy? People will kill to get a job that's steady like that right now, man." Um, and I did everything I could to dissuade him without trying to crush his dream.
Or sound negative, because that's the
Yeah,
other thing. 'Cause
yeah,
you think you're being negative, but you're not. It's just the reality, man.
yeah. But I just kept it real with him. I said, and I used that example of like the budgets for remixes, where one time you used to get 10, 15,000 or whatever for a song, and now people are like tapping you on your shoulder and be like, "Yo, hook me up." So there's no money anymore. Um,
Yeah, I don't.
so for somebody, for someone to today to say that they're gonna quit their 9 to 5 and start doing this, that's big, bro.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But is there anybody that you haven't played with that you would want to play with? DJ?
that I haven't played with, I don't know. I got to think about that, man. 'Cause,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, bro. Like, you can think about anybody. Uh, it, I think everyone that you could imagine from a certain era, yeah, somehow I played with them. Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say that I wish I played with Larry Levan, but who the fuck played with Larry Levan? Like, that was his party. Nobody played with him.
Hmm.
Um, and I wouldn't even know what to do, what to play for that crowd. That was his crowd,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So,
can't really think of anybody, man, right now off the top of my head.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
so Antonio, do we have any questions? Do any people viewing in the chat room over there? Because
Um,
I can't tell from over here.
yeah, I can. Esteban.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a chat. There's people chatting, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Frankie, you ever been to Costa Rica?
Never.
You gotta come out here. I moved out here 7 years ago from New York. It's hot, but
Wow.
I was thinking maybe I should dress up. I should put a guayabera on to go with the whole theme. I was like, yo, fuck that. It's too hot for that shit.
Was it like 90 degrees right now? Humid?
It's not. It's the humidity, bro.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm already sweating. I look like I was fucking running a marathon.
No, what you should do is maybe start like a Merecumbe festival, and start playing.
Bro, I thought about that when I first moved here. But you know what? My promotion days are done.
Well, you don't, but maybe you don't have
You got
to.
everything that any type of party that you're gonna do, you need to put 100% in. And I learned that in New York. I used to do a party with Henry Maldonado,
Yeah,
House to House.
yeah.
I did a party with him and Darshan from Metro area for a couple of years, all disco wax. Man, we put a lot. It was full time, man. You can't do anything half-assed when it comes to putting a party together. And I'm sure Antonio, you know this. You doing your own party, you gotta. It's a job. And I thought about doing one here, starting some, but you know what? Not only would I have to start a jam and put 100% into it, I got introduced to this style of music because it's not really that, Here it's all EDM, electronica, and all this other shit. So
I got a couple of questions for Frankie. Question number one from Esteban. Are you ready, Frankie, to start traveling and playing again?
No,
he said no.
I have. I might be doing something in July in Croatia. They have this big thing called Sunsabeat, the
I
Sunsabeat
think I saw your
Festival.
name on there.
Yeah, that's a holdover from last year because I was supposed to do that last July. And they initially asked me, "Yo, if things get better, would you be down?" I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm not really like I'm not germophobic in that sense where I'm like afraid that if you're around stuff, that something's gonna happen.
Yeah, if
But
it's outdoor, it should be fine. And if you're careful.
it's gonna be July, late July, and I'm still on the fence. I haven't fully decided yet. Um, but DJing, to answer Esteban's question, this is a little maybe a revelation, revealing something about me. I don't I don't. I'm careful about the words I'm choosing here. I don't want to say that I don't enjoy it as much, but I'm careful about the parties that I get involved with
Yeah,
because certain parties have a certain element and a certain vibe, and I might not be too good in that element. And so,
I respect that.
and I'm not thinking of it in the sense of like, oh, that party's not good enough for me. I'm thinking more along the lines like people
Yeah,
are paying to get to that party. They want to enjoy themselves, and I want to make sure that I'm good enough for them. You know? So,
yeah.
so sometimes I might be like, nah, you're good. You got plenty of DJs, and I'll just pass.
I respect that. There's another question. MK De Jesus. She asked, any funny DJ stories? Any international funny DJ stories?
Yeah, I got a, I
Anything
got a,
funny happen international?
I got a
Give us the
couple
good
of,
one.
I got a
Give us a
couple of
good
funny
juicy one.
stories. No, no, no. But I'm gonna give you a funny Frankie Knuckles story. I was DJing at Southport Weekend. Remember I told you I was playing and Frankie Knuckles was DJing also, right?
Yeah.
So I'm playing at Southport Weekend, and there's just like a group of people in the front row, fucking banging out, going crazy, enjoying themselves, right? And this one girl somehow gets access to where the DJ booth is. And that's not easy. Usually you need like some sort of an ID, like a VIP thing to get in. So she comes up and she's like, "Oh man, I'm your biggest fan, and oh my god, like you changed my life. And can I get your autograph?" And I don't think cell phones had picture cameras at the time yet. So I don't think there was a selfie nothing like that. And then she goes, "My favorite record is the Whistle Song."
What?
So I was like, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite record too." I didn't have the heart to tell her that I'm not Frankie Knuckles. You know, clearly she either was out of her mind or just didn't know who the fuck
That's
Frankie
funny.
Knuckles really was.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But that really happened.
One last question. They saying, is there any DJ producer that you would like to collaborate with, Frankie?
Um, for DJ gigs or for
No,
production?
it says,
I think
is there
production.
anyone, an artist or producer that you would like to collaborate with?
So I'll answer it this way. I don't think I've ever really collaborated with anybody for various reasons. I think the only people that I've ever really collaborated with in any way was with Louis and or Kenny. Um, but I've always wanted to work on a project, kind of like a Super Friends project. So we could bring in people like Spinner. I never did nothing with Spinner, DJ Spinner. That's a legend, like in our scene. Josh Milan. Got to work with Antonio. Got to work with Doug. We got to work with um, shit, man. Because fuck, how many other people out there that we could consider part of this thing? And it's like Ian Friday. That's another brother who's just doing incredible, doing incredible music. So yeah, it's like the Super Friends, like the Avengers and shit, coming back to take.
Yo, let me say this real quick. This was years ago. I was having a discussion with, I can't remember who, and we had mentioned, if for whatever reason, like we were saying, let's just say that Louis decides to retire. Like as far as Soulful House, who you think we was having this talk. This is like 5, 7 years ago. It was like who, and I was asking like who you think would be the next person in line. And it's funny you mentioned Ian because someone mentioned Ian and I mentioned you.
You know, that's
I said,
good
if you
company.
was to retire, who would be next in line as far as soulful house music?
But you mean as
I
production or
mentioned you,
DJing? Both.
and somebody else mentioned Ian.
You talking like DJing and production both together?
Yeah, yeah, like do what he does. Like he does the same thing. He DJs, he produces music. Who's the next person in line? Like like Floyd Mayweather. Who's the next Mayweather?
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think
there's
I would.
another Floyd.
Not Floyd
I
Mayweather.
think my choice, my number one would probably be Jihad.
Jihad is making some dope music. DJ Beloved is making some dope music.
With
Um, there's a lot. You know who I think is making some really, really incredible music, and I don't think gets a lot of notoriety is Zephyr Saint
yeah, he's
from
nice
from
too.
UK.
Yeah,
When you
Yeah.
listen to his production,
yeah, I
his
dig it.
music is beautiful. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah. So there's like, and that's another example of being in this era that we're in right now, where we can get people from anywhere, any corner of the world,
Yeah,
making beautiful
and
music
even collaborate too.
and collaborate.
The vocals I've been doing is for people in different parts of the world, and you send them tracks, they sing on the tracks, and keep going back and forth till you get what you want. But
Yeah.
well, you know what? Like I said, man, I'm with Doug. We both hold you in high esteem. We look forward to hearing what's coming down the pike from Frankie. You know,
I
and
saw you just released that rude movement song.
yeah, we was talking about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. That BBE, right? That's on BBE. That's a crazy project though because you got
A
Kenny
lot of
Dope,
yeah.
Moody Man, Opalopo, who I think did a really amazing
He
job
did a nice job.
producing that. Yeah,
Francois kept it most like almost like the original.
I thought it was edits, right? Didn't he
It's
just
like an edit, really.
yeah? Um, and Phil Asher also. I think Phil Asher did some edits.
Rest in
Um,
peace.
yeah, but wow, we're doing a lot of rest in peace today, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It's like that, man.
yeah, no,
If
we
you're 50 and over, you're gonna be getting some rest in peace. You're gonna be experiencing that. Yeah, man. The older,
Yeah, man.
if
we
we're in our 50s, that means our parents are in their 70s at least.
yeah,
So, you know,
true.
just a natural thing.
Yeah, that Rude Movements thing, that was a favor, like Pete from BBE is a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. And we were just talking like a conversation about music, and he's like, "Yeah, I got this thing. Moody Man's doing a remix." I said, "Word?" Uh, I said, "Send me the parts. Maybe I didn't promise anything. I said, just let send me the parts." Um, and really,
Yeah, you put a house edge to it.
yeah. But what I did is I took the original drum machine, um, this the Roland CR76, and just kind of chopped it up, looped it in a more housey edge.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to do too much else to it
I mean,
because
it's a beautiful jam,
as is, as
as
is,
is,
exactly.
as is.
Yep.
Hmm.
That's like,
So
that's one of those jams you really don't need to remix it.
That's
Anyone,
like
nobody.
that's definitely a classic loft jam, right, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
that was the bootleg I
Off
had.
of,
It had wasn't that the bootleg? It was the loft bootleg, wasn't it? That's what I had.
yeah, no, there's a beautiful album, beautiful
Uh,
cover. There's one
uh,
that has a really beautiful color, Sun Palace in red. It's a
I found
beautiful
the two
song,
inch.
man. That was a game changer when that
Yeah,
came out.
that
You
was a
like
bad
had
jam, bro.
jazz elements, just so
Hmm.
smooth, man. It doesn't get smoother than that in dance music.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a beautiful jam.
All right. So I think we can wrap this up. You have anything else,
Frankie,
Tony?
thank you for doing this, Frankie. We really appreciate you. Thank you for
Word
the
up.
people that tuned in, the people that's gonna come back and watch and listen to this.
I
Uh,
appreciate it, man. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank you
much for
so much
absolutely,
having
for
me,
man.
man.
doing.
It
Thank you so
means
much for doing this.
it means a
Uh,
lot to me for that
second
you would even
guest,
ask, man.
really, really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that
Next month,
you guys had me, man. Seriously, because it
absolutely,
means a lot
man.
that you guys would even think that I could be sitting here in the room with you, chatting with you guys about music.
No,
Yo,
please.
we both felt the same way, man. It was a no brainer for us, you know.
All right, cool,
Next
man.
month we're gonna have Louis Gobert, which is gonna be interesting because
That's
that's
my
another
boy.
brother.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a. We'll talk more about it, but he has an interesting history too with being a promoter,
hmm
DJ, producer, and
Didn't
family
he
member.
play on the radio on BLS at one point or something like that?
I
I
don't
think
know.
I
We're
saw a
gonna
picture
find
of
out though. We'll
him.
find out next month. I know his
stay
brother
tuned.
was
Stay
a very
tuned.
famous
Next
Latin
month.
jazz musician. His brother,
Oh wow. Okay.
very famous Latin jazz musician, Wayne
Cool.
Gobert.
Yeah, Wayne Gorbea. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some of
Okay.
his music.
Nah, so
So
I'm gonna
we
be
got him
tuning in,
next
checking
month.
that
But
out for sure, man.
right now, we're very grateful to have had you, Frankie. Thank you, and I hope
Thank
that
you,
whoever
man.
listens to this gets something out of it.
Good luck on
That's
your
what this
future
is all
endeavors.
about. Learning more about who Frankie is and drop some jewels, man, for people that are coming up. Listen,
For
you
sure,
know,
man. Once again, bro, thank you for having me, man.
Not
Peace
only
to
that, man.
everybody.
Frankie,
Not only that, you influence a lot of people, the older crowd, so
absolutely,
that don't know about you like this. So thank you so much.
absolutely.
I hope somehow, some way, uh, when I was a little kid, I I used to sit and listen to the radio shows and record them on cassette, and I was convinced that I was the only one. Nobody else was listening. You know, um, but you wind up realizing that that stuff touches people and it gets out there, and so I
Yeah,
hope
man.
somehow, some way, somebody listens and somebody, even if it's that one person,
That's right.
so
Keep doing your
appreciate it.
thing, Frankie. We're here to support. Anything, just reach out, brother. But we're here, man. And thank you
Cool,
so
man.
much.
All right,
Thank you
brother.
so much.
Peace,
Next
peace,
one,
peace.
June 24th.
I'm gonna be
Take care,
checking in,
y'all.
man. Be good. Peace out.
Thanks again, Frank.
Peace,
All right,
man.
later.
That was